Yeah, I mean, you can never have enough pedals, you know.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Plus, I mean, I was just playing guitar right now, so like I was all having fun.
You go to the NAMM show every year, Steve?
I tried to, and most years I've gone for the most part, but then I kind of didn't pursue it for like a while because I just like was over it because it was just such a circus.
Yeah.
But since I got kind of like some friends at Fender again, and to be honest, I'm always trying to make an impression with the Gretsch guys, so I can kind of get like a little Gretsch deal going. And then I'm in with Ernie Ball now, so I get like strings and stuff from Ernie Ball. I mean, basically whatever I need. I mean, I'm not greedy, so I don't really like, hey, can you give me this, give me this, give me that. I just basically,
Yeah.
But if I wanted some pedals from them, they probably would. I mean, I have before, and so, but a lot of that comes from my buddy Ben's Dennis. He's a guitar tech,
Okay.
and he's like super crazy, and he's the guy that used to live with me, and he plays for Body Count.
Oh,
So
Nice.
he's like a guitar tech to the stars. He like works for the Dixie Chicks and Prince, and worked for like the dude from Soundgarden, Chris Cornell. Yeah, so like
Nice.
he's worked with all kinds of different people through the years, like rock stuff. You know what I mean?
that's sweet. Oh, look, Tom Wally's here.
Awesome.
Garrett, did you ever play with Prince?
No, but Morris Day in the Time for 5 years from 85 to 1990 when he left.
Play with Morris Day. That's so cool.
Yes.
Hey, Steve. Hey, Ken.
Hey, how's it going?
Can you hear me? I can hear you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear
The most recent thing though I did is this. This is pretty cool.
Hey, there you are.
We go.
What's up, Tom?
How you doing, Steve?
Good to see you, buddy.
I'm sorry, man, but I'm fanboying with my skate heroes. But dig, this is the last thing I did before the Corona. I was in the house band that was honoring Aerosmith.
Awesome.
Where's my pass?
This already happened, man. Sorry.
I know.
It already happened, but yeah, that was pretty dope. Got played behind Melissa Etheridge and Nuno Betancourt and Calvin.
And that's the one they do for all the guys who like do advocate to keep everybody on cleaning and like kind of get the money and stuff for that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I've been a couple of those. Alba got recognized a couple of years ago for that.
Yeah, they did Alba a couple of years ago.
I went to a couple of those. So that was kind of cool. Yeah.
But that was cool to play Walk This Way with Nuno Betancourt and
Yeah. That was awesome. Super sick.
that was fun.
Where are you living now?
I'm out here in Westlake Village. Thousand
So
White
you're
Folks.
close. On the west side, then. Okay.
Yeah, this
Cool.
way. But yeah, I'm on here because shit, drumming and skateboarding were everything to me, man. Came up skating with Kevin Nikolai, who used to skate with Hout, Kevin
Okay.
Reed, and Kiwi, and those dudes
Oh.
Yeah.
up in Santa Maria, California. So
Okay.
I got to see a lot of the Sims dudes up there in Santa Barbara, Santa Maria.
Yeah. Like Goleta Park and stuff, huh?
Yeah, Galita, Sparks.
Yeah.
That was
Park
the
was
hang.
awesome.
Yeah.
But I never made it to Upland, man. I always wanted to go, and I just would love seeing all those pics of you and your brother skating.
Upland with the
Pipeline.
shits.
Yeah,
Upland was
Upland was
amazing.
Yeah.
We were lucky to have that when we were kids.
Yeah. But I mean, when I was just a little kid, I was looking up to Tom and looking up to like the dudes that they were older than me.
Wally.
Wally was
Yeah.
a big influence for me. Peralta, Blackheart, Doug Schneider. But the guys who came through like Baldy and El Pool, I got to see those guys, and then later on at Pipeline Skate. So I was kind of had a little bit of relationship with these guys because I was like the little Grom dude, and they all kind of stoked at me and he kind of let me hang around with them for some reason.
Right
But when
on.
it came back to Pipeline days, they kind of all remember me from those times. So I was kind of like already in with those guys. So I was kind of like stoked on that as a kid. You know what I mean? And already like looking up to dudes like Waldo and Wally and Snyder, Tay Hunt, Liegeheimer. I was like the little dude. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm like 5 years younger than all these dudes, if not 6 years younger. So you know what I mean?
Right on.
So that in that respect, that they kind of took me under their wings and kind of like let us hang out with those guys. And And, let's face it, in those days they didn't just let everybody hang out. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I was out stoked. You know what I mean? And then when Wally and Groppo lived in Claremont, I used to kind of go hang out with them quite a bit in those days too. So it was just like just super cool to just absorb all the knowledge. I was like a sponge. I just watched all these guys. When I was a little kid, I wasn't like I am now ass, kind of like I'm out there and kind of like more like how do you say, an extrovert. When I was a kid, I was super introvert. You know what I mean? I just kind of just stood back and just kind of watched it all and soaked it all in. You know what I mean? Didn't even, so but it was awesome at that time frame. I mean, and the 70s were kind of special just because everything was made up. You kind of go into the same time frame. And I don't have the years like Wally does, so I'm sure he's got way like longer skating experience than me. And I know he skated Baldy way before we ever did. By like 3 or 4 years from the story he told me. He said his stories in 72 was so awesome. You know what I mean?
72 is the first time I skated Baldy.
Yeah, that's just amazing to think that you can skate it back in those days before. And that predates basically everybody, you know what I mean? And, a lot of guys get kind of credit, like the Waldo photo and this photo and that guy. But, I mean, right there, 72, that says it all right there, especially for me because, that's my home spot. And it's been my home spot forever. And so, that's just such a magical place to this day. And knowing that somebody like yourself skated that back in 72 when I'm thinking I'm like, but in 72, I'm like 8, you know what I mean? It's like, that's crazy, man. That's super, super cool. It's just to think that you're kind of getting
it's so funny because we heard it from the surfers in Huntington Beach, and they said there's this tube in the mountain that you can ride kind of like a wave, and so we tried to figure out where it was, and then we told our friend Jack Martin's dad, and he took out a Thomas Brothers map book and he says, well, if there's any pipe in the ground, it's probably got to be at this dam right here. So that's what we did. We drove around, we drove up on top, and we looked down, we saw the line. So maybe it's right there. And so that's how we found it. And then when we first rode it, we just rode one side of the wall, either the front side or back side, like a wave, like go up and carve, bottom turn, carve, and go the other way. It wasn't until like probably the third or fourth time we went that we actually went back and forth.
Man.
Yeah.
That's rad.
Surfy skatey.
Hey, Bill.
What's super crazy?
How you doing, Bill?
See you, man.
Yeah.
What you're saying is, think about this right now. This is like 72.
Wait.
Think about what he's saying right now, like on those kind of boards, that kind of technology, and you're only going one way, like almost like a way, like a bank, and then third or fourth session in, you figure out how to do that pendulum effect, where it's that back and forth, like you're on tennis court, you're just kind of watching the guy, but it's that whole motion, and it is surfing on one hand, but it's not surfing, man. It's like a whole different trip.
There wasn't any spray paint whatsoever at Bolden at all.
And just thinking like that you champion that and you started off, dude, it's like wow, it's like that.
I know.
That's like that's heavy stuff.
Not
right
worthy.
There. It almost makes me want to cry almost because it's like so heavy.
Well, I think like for somebody like Wally and for me too, we were just emulating surfers. Like there was no skaters to emulate because there was no connection to any skateboarders. So you were just trying to be like Mark Richards or Sean Thompson or Larry Berleman or Buttons, or you're trying to be like a surfer. And that's so funny that you would say that you would just do front sides with bottom turns or back sides. And Wally was only like 13 or 14 then, I think. I think he's the same age as me. But hey, wait, I gotta take off. I just wanted to jump in here and maybe I'll get home and get back on. But I wanted to tell a quick story about Steve, where I had never met you. I went to, I want to say it was like 78 maybe or ish to Upland, and you were rolling into the Big Bull, and I was like, that just like blew me away. I was like, where has skateboarding gone like now? Like if people can do that, I was just completely, I think I was up there with, I don't know if I would, because I used to bring the Del Mar team up there. I think this was before that, but that was like a game changer for me because I saw you do that and I thought, I don't think I could ever do that. Like roll into that Big Bull, just like, you know, nobody. I don't know. I'd never seen anybody roll into a vert bowl before, and to see you do that.
You're talking 15-foot bowl or the 12-foot bowl?
The big bowl, yeah, the big bowl.
15-foot bowl, yeah.
Yeah,
We had
that-
this thing like after I kind of saw like Snyder do it and saw kind of Blackheart do it, we all kind of learned it at Upland. I mean, Wally did it too. You know what I mean? A lot of us did it. Kurt Kimball did it, you know, and Kurt Corden did it. God, there's so many kind of, but anyway, there was like a method over that round little lip. You know what I mean? And,
yeah, really round.
and for us little dudes, especially like me and Donna, because we were like little dudes, it's like we always felt like we had to step it up a little bit of a notch. Like, what could we do to feel like you guys don't got that? You know what I mean? So just that.
And back then, like,
you know,
4 or 5 years was huge.
Yeah. So, and to be honest with you, too, like the one guy who made a big impression on me in those days too was Worm. And Worm was just screaming down the bank run, just so fast, and just kind of just carve that big long car, and just do like almost like a big floater over the hip.
Yeah.
Kind of like a pre-ollie before ollies were happening. This is before Gelfton kind of showed up in '78, man. This is like '77, dude. This is like maybe like 3 months into skating the park where Worm's starting to get it dialed, and like Wally's getting it dialed. All the older guys are getting it dialed. Tay Hunt's getting it dialed. Like, you know, Liga Heimer's getting it dialed, and every aspect of the. And this is like pre-combi pool, you know what I mean? So, So in those days, I mean, because Upland was like the first vertical skate park, so to speak. When,
big.
Deadly vertical.
It was gnarly.
Hi guys.
Paramount was gnarly too, and there was some other crazy shit too. But just for pure, like, you know, you had a pipe, you had a 12-foot bowl, you had a 15-foot bowl, and the combi later. You know what I mean? It was just like. It was kind of like crazy paradise.
And it was smoggy, like crazy smoggy back then.
Definitely. I mean, everywhere was smoggy, but Upland was even more smoggy. all the smog was stood along the foothills.
Yeah.
You get done, you go to Upland, you kind of come home and try to lay down. It was like a dog. You couldn't breathe. You can be like panting, like a little short breath, like you couldn't get like a.
I brought the Del Mar team there, and all those kids, you know, like Aaron and I think maybe Kevin. I'm trying to remember who else was on that crew, but you know, they're North County beach kids, pink lungs. We went out there. Every one of them freaking got sick. Like every one of them was just couldn't breathe and was like, dying, throwing up and stuff. It was crazy. I grew up in Arcadia, so I was a little bit more used to it. But
the heat would fuck you up, man, for sure.
Smog alerts,
heat,
baby.
Smog, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say something.
All the way till like I'm thinking 79. You know what I mean?
Dude, I remember we joked about the other day, like when we were in 5th grade, we go out in the playground, they say, smog alert today, can't play. We take a deep breath and our lungs would hurt. I mean, I was telling my kid that the other day, you don't even know what smog alert felt like. I mean, literally physically felt to breathe, hurt to breathe.
Totally.
Hey, I got a question. I got a question for Wally.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Wally, when you guys started flying out of the pipe front side, who was the first guy that you saw do that? I mean, were you the first guy? You were the first guy I ever saw do it. So
I didn't see anybody do it, you know.
When
I was riding the pipe, I just thought it was pipeline, the spot, and so I was trying to emulate Jerry Lopez getting spit out of the tube, and the only way to do that is to fly out of the pipe, right?
Yeah.
So I think the first time I think I just tried coming out of the pipe and not really jumping out, just kind of right at the level where the bank was.
Yeah.
And then a couple of times I would do it like 2 inches out or 3 inches, and that, I mean, that's how that started.
Yeah.
And then I found out that the higher you go, and when you come out, when the pipe is going back over vert, it's easier to come back into the bowl.
Yeah.
And you weren't hanging up because the first couple of times we were doing it just at 9 o'clock. Sometimes you can hang up on that lip.
Yeah, because you kind of go almost like horizontal.
Right. So you knew you had to go higher, and you had to fly out to where that kind of the drop-in part was.
You almost had like you weren't thrusting, kind of like, you know what I mean? You know, yeah.
Do you have any idea if they designed it that way? If they designed thinking someone was going to do that, or was that at random? Because that was the roll-in zone.
I think it was random.
Yeah, I think it was too. Just guessing.
I mean,
because it was perfect. That bank landing was epic for flying out because it was easy to land on.
I don't know. The first time I went to Upland, everybody was walking down the stairs in the
The
back,
back, yeah, I remember
riding
that.
the pipe there, and all I remember is like, hey, I could go along the 12-footer and roll right in. I mean, the key for me is that I rode the Arizona pipes before I rode Upland, so I had big pipes kind of dialed.
You had knowledge already.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of hot.
And then, of course, your
Yeah,
brother
very-
Mickey took flying out of the pipe to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, so did Dunlap for that
Yes,
matter.
what Dunlap.
I mean, this face, I mean, I saw you do it. I saw Tay do it little ones, but he wasn't that good front side. I saw Kurt do it. Harvey used to do pretty good ones, but then he put his hand on the wall almost like an Andrick.
Right.
You know what I mean? And kind of fly out like that. But no one really kind of did it like you until I'm thinking, you know, Dunlap did a rad too, but Mickey, man, he took it to a whole nother fucking level. Let's face it, Mickey just like took it. I mean, I did him good myself. I mean, I did him all right, you know what I mean? But Mickey, like, just the way he can kind of just do a big ass kind of like side right at the edge of the pipe and screaming out. And just like almost like you say, like kind of fly off that oververt part to kind of lock into your feet to kind of come off, you know what I mean? He used to go so high, I used to go underneath and like do doubles like that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If I knew he was coming out, I would just like drop in right underneath him. Like he was, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Rad. I was going to ask Wally, when you were first riding, you told the story about pipeline, and then Steve said that you were on some, you know, small, primitive, sort of rudimentary skateboard gear. You remember sort of like what you were riding back then, as far as your wheels and trucks and board and all that stuff?
During when we went to Upland?
Or when you went to the Baldy Pipe in 70?
Baldy was Chicago trucks, clay wheels, and homemade skateboard.
Clay wheel.
Yeah,
My homemade skateboard was what? 5 inches wide by 24 inches long. So
That's right.
I mean, my parents couldn't afford to buy skateboards, and so I ended up having to make all mine.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily, my friend's dad was a cabinet worker, so we had access to a bunch of different kinds of woods.
Right.
So
That's rad.
yeah.
I mean, just think about what he's saying. That kind of setup at Baldy Pipe. This is when Baldy Pipe is extremely smooth. You got to remember that too. This is like pristine. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
They built Baldy Pipe in '56. So here's the crazy thing. My dad grew up the next canyon over. So it's Palmer Canyon, and then the canyon where actually Baldy Pipe is. I put up a photo on my Instagram like a week ago, and it's got the whole like view of the whole valley before they built the dam. And what happened was they had this crazy ass flood in '38. They had another flood, and I'm thinking like '47. And it was like those 100-year floods, so to speak. So they had to build something to kind of stop that from happening. That's why they made the dam. But anyhow, what I'm getting at is my dad used to watch them make the dam. And he has photos at my dad. I got to find the photos. He's got a couple of photos that he took as a kid of them building the dam. So that was pretty crazy. So anyhow, later on, when he found out I was actually going there to a skateboard, he just thought it was the craziest thing. And like after he'd watched them all do that, and he's always like, "Watch out for rattlesnakes. You know, that's the biggest thing that can get you." Stupid me, when I was always playing with little baby rattlesnakes. So I didn't know any better. Like I got that photo, and I could see the thrasher, and they're like biting my shoe. I mean, I was letting them bite my shoe on purpose. You know what I mean? Not knowing that kind of thing can really hurt you. But so it was just kind of funny to hear my dad like saw this whole thing being made. And here I am kind of skating all these years later. You know what I mean? So I just thought it was kind of trippy. That's all.
That's rad. Jim, did you ever ride the Baldy Pipe?
Yeah, I mean, probably 10 times in my life, you know, every few years, very sporadically. But yeah, I've ridden there since when I was 14 till a few years ago.
I got one more. Sorry to cut you off. I got one more quick question for Wally. Now listen to this, man. As we were kids and we started going to Baldy Pipe, the tower on top of the dam, those guys would see you and they had binoculars and they would kind of look for you after they kind of knew what was going on. So if you went there in '72, you just went straight up the line to get there, right? You didn't go in the little tunnels in there later, right?
No, we parked on off of what is it, Mountain and 25th?
Yep.
Where we
Yeah.
all that's how we found it, and it's actually
Okay.
the first time that we went. my friend had a rope in his car, so we actually roped. We jumped over the fence and roped straight down.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
We didn't know that there was a way to get into that.
Ah, okay.
We didn't know if there was a way to get into that wash, and we saw the big pit hole. It was like, well, how are we gonna jump over that thing? Well, I mean, we were what, 13 years old, 14, you know.
That's why I'm asking this question, because when I was that age, we couldn't jump the pit either.
No.
And there was no way across this. It was a piece of wood. But generally in the old days, when we came through, in the pit, they had those 3 pipes that were like, 5, 6 feet tall. And they let out into the stream bed. And that's where we used to walk up those and walk up the wall of the pit. I mean, the pit, and then get out into the pipe. That's how we used to get in when we were kids. We always did it that way. We did that like that for years until we had enough strength to jump over it,
Yeah. No, we brought a rope and rappelled down, rope down.
That's
That's
rad.
pretty rad. I mean, that's
really
super
cool.
interesting.
And same way, we would tie our skateboards to the end of the rope and we go up and we bring our skateboards up.
So you were basically at special forces like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
In 72. That's cool, man. I like that. That's so cool.
I've been lucky. There was always wood every time I went. There was always a board,
Yeah.
But I mean,
I jumped across it for the hell of it just to make sure.
I mean, hey, we've all rode clay wheel boards. I mean, I rode them when I first started. But think about riding that baldy pipe, a 24-inch board with
Oh, that's nuts.
board, and just say, and then figure out that you're doing this. So you're basically setting the whole tone for everybody to do that later. I mean, Wally, I mean, that's pretty damn amazing. It truly is.
Back then, I mean, the pipe was so smooth, clay wheels actually worked really well in them.
But they weren't slippery?
No. Well, I mean, clay, we didn't know if they were slippery or not. we were just thought we were like
too dumb to know
tail out
better
of your
yet.
surfboard. So, I mean, that was just part of skateboarding, the sliding part of it. So
That's killer.
All I'm trying to get at is this, man. Like, as far as history goes, Waldo Autry gets all this history like he's the baldy guy. And right now,
I told Waldo where it was.
You like basically predate that by like 3 years. I mean, I'm thinking like, dude, you're the baldy guy. Like Wally Inouye is like skated that shit for anybody, and that's like ground zero. To me, that's ground zero. That's like Herbie Fletcher skating that pool in '64 bare feet in Malibu, right? And you got the spray painted pool. And it's so crazy to think that there's a spray painted pool in '64, right? I mean that's totally mind blowing in my book that he did that, and then someone captured a photo of him doing that. So in my book, that's the kind of same shit right there. That to me, that's just like that's ground zero where it started it all right there. I mean that's the way I look at it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's funny because I met Wald at the Vermont Drop, and then he invited me and took me to a couple of pools, and says, "Okay, since you're turning me on to the spot, so I'm going to turn you on to this big tube in the mountain." And so
that's cool.
I drew him a map how to get there. Next thing you know, it's in 5 Summer Stories and all that.
Crazy. Now, when I was a kid, I got to go to Fruit Bowl twice. One time I took the bus all the way from my house all the way there with my 2 friends, which was a mess, like the most amazing adventure. Okay. And another time, these kind of guys from El Pool knew who I was, so they took me in their van. But the first we went there on the bus, you were there at Fruit Bowl skating. And we were little dudes, and we didn't know you at that time. You didn't know who the hell I was. But I was just amazed that, like, we'd already kind of seen the mag a little bit here and there and just heard about that stuff, kind of like, it's probably like 75 right in there, you know what I mean? And so to see some players, like Mike Weed was there. God, I want to say maybe Rodney Jesse. I remember he had like real curly, kinky blonde hair.
Rodney Jesse?
Yeah, and he was like a goofy foot dude. It had to be him. But just to actually kind of see that as a kid, and I'm thinking I'm like maybe 12, 13 at that time, you know what I mean? And so it was just, those are like special times to actually see that firsthand, because that's everything now was like on the phone or like on the video or all that. And this is like predates all that kind of shit. So that's the kind of like searing memories I have from skateboarding in the 70s. And that's why I think it sticks out in my mind so much as a kid. And plus, I'm not fried from drugs either, to be honest with you. I mean, you know me. I mean, I smoke my weed and drink my beer, but I'm not fucking like all the other dudes. I'm out of my mind, fucking fried. You know what I mean? So my mind is completely intact from like being a little kid. You know what I mean? I've seen Wally and all the dudes is like, It's like, I mean, it's just crazy that we're such good friends now, but I still like, he's like these guys are heroes to me still, you know what I mean? Like those guys like Strokel,
I agree.
I look up to, you know, it's just so awesome that like these guys are still, and it's so awesome we're all still hanging out, even having this conversation right now. It's pretty cool, you know?
I still want to know what happened to Wally. He sponsored me, then he disappeared. I rode for Inaway Spool Service, then he just disappeared.
I think I moved to San Diego right after I sponsored you.
Yeah, you were like, yeah, I was good.
Probably.
Here you go, kid. Here's some boards. Bye. Yeah.
You know, we're all guilty of that, and that's what I'm going surfing. I'm going skating. Fuck it, like you know, that's the fun. That's what it is. You know what I mean?
Times have changed, and it was all good.
Well, we didn't have cell phones back there, Jim.
Yeah, I know. I'm just teasing you, dude. I still love you. You know it. Yeah. Speaking of the Fruit Bowl, I never rode the Fruit Bowl. Bummer. It was close. I lived in Westminster. It was in Garden Grove. My brother used to skate there all the time, and the day I finally decided to go with him was a day after they demolished it.
Oh man!
Bust up Brookhurst with him, and all the walls were caved in. And the most crazy thing I remember about it, because I had never been there, I'd only seen pictures, and I walked up, and there was someone had taken a big piece of plywood. It was leaning up against a wall, and it said like, "They used to come and totally rip, and now they come and call it shit." And that was just like a spray painted on a sign or on a marker, and it was leaned up against the wall. It was just good. And I remember that, like, it's almost 40 years later, and I still remember that that sign written there. It was like, it was sad because all the walls were just caved in. It was like, damn, because I'd seen all the pictures. It looked so bitchin'.
That was a good.
So hey, I got a Fruit Bowl question for Wally. So in those days, you had a sick photo, and I want to say you had like a Heineken sticker. Like you had a homemade board that looked like you had like even like homemade sandpaper on it, and it had almost like a Heineken sticker on the top of it. It was one of those Fruit Bowl photos you had. You were carving back.
That was the board that Waldo put me on his private pool team.
Okay.
Him and Perry Vance were making 9-ply marine plywood skateboards.
Okay.
And he would airbrush them, and they would.
Yeah, it was an airbrush board.
They would glass them, and then on the deck they would put the silica sand. And I took a label off a Heineken bottle and asked him if I can get
So
that.
there was a Heineken there. That's so sick.
And so that's how that got. And after I got on that board, it really progressed. I thought it progressed my skating.
Yeah. Took you to a whole nother level.
Yeah, because I mean we went from solid oak boards to a plywood based board with fiberglass in it that had a little bit of life to it.
Yeah, a little bit of flex in it, so you could just kind of pump it more, huh?
Yeah, it'll still narrow. I think it'll still 7 inches wide, maybe 6.5.
Right.
So hey, you did figure 8 cars at Fruit Bowl, right? Didn't you
Yeah.
do figure 8 backside car? Yeah, I remember watching you do that. So you were the first guy I ever saw do that. I thought that was amazing, and I saw you do that pipeline. I'm like, dude, I gotta learn that. That is so sick.
That was just a roundhouse cutback and banking off the whitewater to come back.
Yeah,
That's all that was.
yeah. It's kind of funny because like I'm gonna tell you this right now, and it's gonna sound kind of stupid and all, but when I saw you do that, to this day, I'm one of the only dudes who goes backside, and I'll cut and then I'll carve up and I'll cut like to a front side grind. And I do that because I saw you fucking like carve like that, but I go, I mean, I gotta grind instead of carve. But dude, that is just so sick. And I just want to tell you, man, I got that from watching you guys back when I was a kid.
I can never do it in the square pool of the combi.
Yeah.
I always wanted to do that, go from one corner, backside and front side, and the other opposite corner.
Yeah.
Of the same wall.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's so hard to do, dude.
Yeah.
I did it the new combi maybe only twice when we actually bat the pool so good that you can kind of actually do that. But yeah, dude, that was so freaking hard. Yeah, but dude, I think me just trying to like skate like you guys, and that's why everybody's like Southwest lines, and hey, you know what? I mean, Miller kind of always tells me to this day like, hey, I just took everything from you from as a kid, but basically I took everything from you guys. So I mean, it's just like, you know what I mean? So that's just it's so cool to talk to you right now. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I took everything from surfers.
Yeah. Well, see, I didn't know that. I didn't live at the beach like you guys, man. I mean, I didn't have that experience as a kid. You know what I mean? And it wasn't until like I won the Big O contest where I won my surf. Like I won $1,000, a GoPed, and a surfboard. But no one showed me ever how to surf. I never even know how to boogie board for that matter. My mom and dad couldn't take me to the beach. They were working class, man. You know, my dad worked his ass off. Mom worked, and she was an X-ray tech, and she was on call all the time, so she's always back and forth because she's on call. And so if I got to the beach in the summertime, maybe 5 times in the summer, I was like lucky. You know what I mean?
Well,
So I never had
back then, Upland was a long ways from the beach. I mean,
yeah,
I was even far away from the beach.
yeah. So that's what I'm getting at, man. Especially in those days, Upland was far from the beach.
Were you in Fountain Valley back then, Wally? Were you in Fountain Valley?
No, I was in Monterey Park.
Monterey Park, yeah, that's where I lived before I moved to Westminster,
Yeah.
Fountain Valley, yeah.
So
I didn't surf till I rode for GNS, and they used to always tease me, like, how come you don't surf? I'm like, oh, I don't know, I don't have a surfboard. So they gave me a surfboard, so I started surfing. So.
Yeah, so I mean, I tried to surf as a kid, but I killed myself and almost drowned in Huntington one day on a big day. And I'm like, fuck the ocean, punk rock, fuck. And then I'd go to the beach. I mean, I've been with my wife forever, right? So I'd go to the beach with her. And I'd dress in my black jeans, my black leather jacket, slick my hair back, my sunglasses, and drink some fucking Heineken. I just sweat my ass off, just dripping. But it was just punk rock fucking passion. It's just stupidity now when you look back. But at the time, I was thinking I was cooler than everybody else, so I just sweat it all in my, you know what I mean? But now, like, after all these years later, that's when I kind of learned how to surf, after, you know, and I learned way late. But I just love surfing. And the thing that's crazy for me is before Jay Adams died, he was skateboarding a lot with us. And that's when we had the Ridiculous Pool going still. And Wally went to Ridiculous Pool, so he knows how rad that pool was, man. It was just such a special place. And so Jay was actually meeting there a lot with us because he rode for Hurley and I rode for Hurley. And so he would come skate. And then Jay's all like, hey, man, come surf with us. So me and my wife went and surfed with him and Nathan Fletcher a couple times. It was super killer because, I mean, I'm way better now. But in those days, we went to Saw Creek and had a longboard and all the dudes in the water like, fuck you, Salvo. You fucking take that longboard out of here, you fucker. Just vibing me so hard. And I came back to the beach and I was like all defeated. Like, oh shit, man, they're vibing me so fucking out. I felt like a dick. And Jay and Nathan were like, who's fucking vibing you, man? Fucking put him out. So we went paddling back out and those guys went out and fucking like, fuck you and fuck you. And I was like, dude, like, wow, like these guys are sticking up for me, man. And like, I just thought it was so fucking sick. And so like when Jay like was in Hawaii, I was like, man, you know, please don't go to Hawaii. I'm so afraid you're going to go down there and just get, you know, loaded. That was my biggest fear. Like, you're going to go get loaded. You're off probation, going to another country. And so, like, I mean, I used to see him like 2 or 3 times a week at Hurley. And we would skate and we'd go whatever. And so, like, he called me literally 3 days before he died. And he's like, dude, I'm all good. I'm not fucking up. I've just been surfing every day, man. It's all good. And when I get back, I'm going to teach you how to surf better. And you're going to teach me how to skate those lines you skate. So I was like looking so forward to it. But then, you know, he didn't make it back, you know, but it's just like one of those things where like he was like, dude, Alba, he always called me Alba. When he's serious with me, he's all, Alba, you're finally getting it, man. You're finally surfing. I've seen you out there, like, you're finally getting it, man. You've gone full circle. So I was just stoked that like one of my dudes I looked up to, like something like my Wally, like my, you know, like my Liga Heimer, like my Jay, like actually kind of like validated, like, dude, I'm here finally, man. I fucking made it finally. You know what I mean? And so I was super hyped on that. So to me, it's like surfing's so sick now, and I get it now. I mean, it took me fucking 30 years to fucking figure it out, Tom. So, but yeah, man, it's just so crazy to think that like I watched you guys skate and you were taking all shit from surfing, and I couldn't surf, and I'm trying to take all shit from you. And people always thought I surfed in those days, but I didn't surf. I was just trying to do what you guys did. You know what I mean? So it's kind of crazy like that.
That's rad.
But hey, let me ask you another question, Tom. Who was the first guy you saw thrust in a fucking pipe? Front side.
Beniac,
Baniac. Okay.
Beniac, Arizona Pipes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never got to skate with Baniac out there, but I saw him do that at Upland. So that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, thrusting's a whole nother art, you know what I mean? And it's just kind of crazy again. And I'm asking you this because I'm just trying to get to the bottom of like who started it again. It's like ground zero again. I love the ground zero shit. It's so important to me because like people just don't think like, you know, I've always said that skateboarding and rock and roll are very similar in respect, like in the sense that I've always said this, like there's regional music and there's guys that play certain things. So like if you're in the South and say like you're in Mississippi, you're playing country blues. And if you go up the river a little bit, then you're going to maybe electrify a little bit. And then you go, okay, and I'm going to go to Chicago. I'm going to take that same unit, but then I'm going to electrify that unit. Instead of string bass, I'm going to make an electric bass. I'm going to have 2 guitars, bass and drums, and harmonica. So they were like made the whole modern unit for music later. But what I'm getting at is the same thing kind of happens in skateboarding, where like there's certain kind of things that dictate to what happened and let it down this path, so to speak. These different spokes of the wheel. You know what I mean? There's all these different spokes that go all over this wheel. Like if you're a big bicycle wheel, there's 50 spokes, there's 50 genres of skateboarding. There's downhill, you know, pipe riding, ramps, mini ramps, street, all that kind of shit. You know what I mean? But what I'm getting at is like it's important to me, and this is one thing me and Grasso always fucking agreed on. It's like, where is the bottom fucking line? Where did it start? Where did it come from? So that's why I like asking Wally these things, because he knows a couple of these things I don't know.
I mean, I guess, I mean, Benyak was the first guy I saw doing the pipe. The first person I really, I guess you can't call it a thruster, was the Worm at Vermont Drop. He would do these front side power slides on the banks.
Okay.
It's kind of the same theory, right? And so,
Yeah, basically, yeah.
So maybe we all saw it from maybe Benyak and all that got that idea from skating all the schoolyards, doing all the burts and doing stand up power slides, and then he just took it.
Yeah.
So that's what you do.
Yeah.
You know, you take your flat ground tricks to the bank, and then you take the bank tricks to the vert wall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's how I was learning after. Yeah, I mean, I remember that for sure. I learned everything on a bank before I can do it on a vert for sure. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's so crazy, man. Yeah, because thrust, you know, I think like when you get good thrust going, I mean, even Jim Gray, man, right here, he had a good thruster himself. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah. So like, there's certain guys in my book that like can thrust, and even in today's world, I mean, I can still thrust like a motherfucker still. You know what I mean? But like someone like a Peter Hewitt, someone like a Miller, you know what I mean? Those guys are super sick in their own right. You know what I mean? And Rune Glifberg is another guy who's really good at that stuff. You know what I mean? So
Hewitt probably did the best one I ever saw in my life, personally.
Yeah,
I saw
I mean,
him go on a pipe,
he was
and literally
beautiful.
he slid across the whole fucking pipe, and it blew my mind.
Yeah.
Like,
and plus, Hewitt always kind of puts his hand back. It's almost like a layback. It's just crazy. Like, Brooklyn might even touch the wall like that front side. You know what I mean? So it's just, and you know, Worm was super good front side too. He was the first guy I saw like go over 5 lines at Upland. You know what I mean? I mean, a photo of Biniak at Upland is pretty good too, and a photo of Hackett. But when you really kind of look at the angle, Hackett's really not all that tall. And if you look at the lines, he's only 3 lines up. I'm not taking nothing against, but he's only like 9:30, 9:45. You know what I mean? The photos are like a little while later, and some of the photos of Tay were they're up in the 10 o'clock zone. Biniak's definitely up in that 10 o'clock zone already at that point. You know what I mean? And the dude who like was really kind of rad for me too, because as much as like I liked Wally and these guys going front side, like Tay Hunt had a super sick backside game, and so did Doug Schneider, and so does Blackheart.
Yeah.
And all 3 of those dudes, probably in my mind, were some of the best guys to go backside outside of Wally. Who had a super sick backside game in himself. But the thing it was like when you run a pipe, it's all about that kind of angle and topping out and kind of coming in, sliding down the wall of it so you don't get pitched out into the flats. You know what I mean? And I know Wally talked about kind of getting pitched out of the flats at Arizona because they're so smooth and you kind of didn't know where your bearings kind of were. And the first time I went to Arizona, I mean, within 20 minutes, me and Dunlap are so excited as kids to ride that first downhill section. And I got pitched so hard from like 11 o'clock. It just hit my head so hard on the ground, got warped and totally KO'd. Because they put me in the car for a while. And here you go, Steve. And you know what I mean? And this is pre like Salba days. So it was always Alba. You know, I was always Alba in those days. But dude, just going to Arizona and skating those things. I mean, I got skating too. That was probably, in my opinion, probably the best thing I've ever skated in my entire life was the Arizona pipes because they were just so smooth. They were like porcelain, like marble. What do you think, Tom?
And I mean, that downhill section was freaking gnarly. That thing was nuts.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't have to push, and you get a quarter way up, halfway up, and the next thing you're going 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and you're trying to slow down.
Yeah. It was almost
like
like,
I remember.
Like San Jose's pipe, kind of like. He dropped in kind of, but even like longer than that. I remember the way I remember it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was nuts. And the thing is for me too, is because, you know, all of us skated the Arizona pipes in the old days know, you know, Wally and the guys had like maybe like a head start by like maybe 1 or 2 trips before I went out there. But after I went out there, the thing is what I did is I kept going. And a lot of guys kept going. And so what me, and this is what's kind of why I met Brian Brandon, to be honest with you. When I met Brian Brandon, he was a fucking freak about the Central Arizona Project, CAP. And the CAP is what made all those things. So You know, like, and I'm sure Wally skated a lot of those projects too. But dude, we basically skated every one of the projects they made in every place, from Florence to Pima to like you know, out there by the prison, and there was out there up by the lake. I mean, there was so many. There was downtown Third McDowell. I mean, there was so many sections that they made, and we just explored all of them. You know what I mean? From like 20 footers to 22 footers to 24 footers, and then those ones that we skated with Brian Brandon that were downtown at Third McDowell, there were 24 footers, and they sectioned off into a T, and they came to like this like angled pipe. It was a 16 footer. So, and it was kind of just crazy, but it was all underground. You couldn't see. We had to take lanterns down there and flares, and you were choking on the flare dust, and the lanterns really weren't good enough. So it was, I mean, there's photos of it in the mag and all, but it was just such a crazy thing to think that we're all underground, like Planet of the Apes, skating these pipes. And it's just crazy. And then after that, I took it to a whole nother fucking level, dude. And that's when like me and Tony Farmer and like Kelly Belmar and like Preston and Rhino and Texas Dan. That's when we started going and investigating all the pipes in the Southwest and finding about the Bureau of Reclamation pipes and going to Colorado and Texas and Utah and Wyoming to skate all this man-made shit that wasn't built for skating, but auxiliary spillways built for pipes like Barry S up north, like into that big one. So dude, we probably went and skated, I'm thinking another, if not 10 or 12 pipes that we investigated, just driving every summer. We would take every 2 weeks for every summer from like 2001 all the way to 2006. We would go do this, like 4 or 5 of us. Bryce Kanice went one year. So I mean, it was just insane to see all these structures they built, from Hoover Dam to Joe Green's dam in Utah, to, you know, Silver Lake down by my house, where it's had 18 footers, out all the way to like Leadville out in Colorado, and Silver Jack. And so at that point, after the first trip, what I did, I started doing some research. And this is kind of like almost like right when the internet's kind of starting, kind of pre-internet, you know, like right in that time zone. And anyhow, what I did is I found out how to go to the library of the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, which was based in Denver. And so we went there, me, Farmer, Bryce, and Belmar, and we asked the librarians there to start looking for pipe siphons and auxiliary spillways. We didn't tell them we skateboarded. We told them we were there for art projects. And I showed them all these photos I had taken. Like, I'm an artist, kind of like, you know, that's why we're wanting to see all this stuff. But anyhow, they dug in all these books, and there's this book called the Technical Data Book. It's called the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation Technical Data Book. And that book has every dam they've ever made and all the specific specifications, from how high the dam is to whether it was an earthquake. Dude, I know so much about dams. Just from all this shit is insane. I'm not even like a water guy. I know so much about hydrology just from like doing all this shit. So it was just a whole nother trip I was kind of interested in. So I'm just saying, I like was so in the pipe riding. I took what these guys showed me as a kid, and then took it to a whole nother trip with like almost like my pool riding thing. So that's to this day, there's 2 or 3 more pipes I haven't investigated yet. But I've had a couple of guys out in Texas look at some pipes that I've been investigating and found. These BMXers I turned on to. And one pipe is called Hubbard Pipe, and it's in the middle of like San Angelo over there. It's about a 24 footer, but the outside of the flat wall has a half pipe in front of it. There's a photo of it in Thrasher's Insane Terrain magazine, the book. But something like that to build like a whole other pipe, you know, and that's all I'm kind of getting at. I'm trying to get another whole skate park to build a whole other pipe. You know what I mean? And right now, I got to be honest with you, right? It's not looking good for Comedy Orange with all the stuff that happened there with that kid dying there and all. And then prior to that kid dying there, a week prior, or maybe 2 weeks prior to that, another kid pulled a gun on someone in the skate park, some kind of beef or something. And the skate park's not so much freaked out on that one as much as the death there. But the mall got wind of that, so the mall's fucking freaked out. Number one, and they never liked the skate park there. So I kind of talked to Van Dorn a little bit today during that Grasso thing we did for his birthday. They're just not really sure what's up with the Orange skate park yet. If that's going to reopen, you know, I mean, I hope it reopens. And it'd be a shame to lose the combi. So if that's the case, I'd really like to build another combi somewhere. And not so much like Uplands, like transitions, but the shape of Upland was amazing compared to what they got now. I'll still say that. You know what I mean? And that's
Wider
what,
shallow end was rad.
yeah, the upland, the real combi shallow was much better. And I talked to Lance about trying to do that with the new one they built at Huntington, and they kind of did that a little bit, but they need to move it over more. And so they built the one for Eddie out in the desert. Hopefully they'll build the shape like it's supposed to be, actually, you know what I mean? But we'll see, you know what I mean? That's another deal. Hey, Wally, I got another question for you real quick, if you're still there, or maybe you bailed out for a minute. But anyhow, I just remember this, when Combi got built at Upland, they didn't have enough money to actually build the pool yet. And I remember a whole bunch of the pros giving money of their own money, like $1,000 a piece, to come up with 20 grand to get the park built, because Stan only had so much money, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like, I know I gave money. Hey, do you remember that, Wally, at all? Do you remember giving money to get the Combi built back in the old days?
I think, since the Hoffmans did IPS out of Upland,
Yeah,
I think that, and at that time, Hunter Joslin was my business partner. I believe we gave them part of the proceeds from any sales from IPS stickers or shirts for it.
yeah. Cause I the way I remember Don explaining that everybody gave like $1,000, the pros at that time, to kind of get it built, who were super stoked on, like yourself, Stropel, myself, my brother.
I know that we definitely got Sims to donate.
Yeah. You know what I actually found the other day, which is kind of amazing, and I'm not sure how I'm going to get them developed. I found the 110 photo negatives of the water in the Combi pool when they filled it up and we were swimming in it.
Wow.
My mom has some photos, and she gave them back to me pretty recently. But I don't know where to get them developed. I do have like a whole set, like 36 photos of us swimming in the Combi pool. So I mean, I can kind of look through the little slides, like, but
Yeah.
I can't really see everything. But I just know they're there. You know what I mean?
Jeff,
I like
you know that answer, right?
kind of stuff. What's that?
Jeff should know that answer. Greenwood.
Where is Jeff? There he is.
Let
He
me,
was there a minute ago.
what kind of film were they on?
110.
You should be able to send that in many places in the US, but a lot of that shit's gone overseas now, so you can get that developed.
It's developed, Steve, or is it
No,
negative?
it's not developed. It's the negatives.
Yeah, you'd be able to get that developed. It shouldn't be-
But you can see something on there, or it's still.
No, you can see the images on there for sure. I mean, it's like in that old waxy paper kind of shit.
yeah, you're probably really scared to let it go out of your control.
Yeah, it kind of is.
biggest
That's
thing.
kind of like where do you fucking even,
You could get, I was just talking to Zimmerman this morning. I mean, there's all kinds of places you could get that scanned at, and it would, they could get that set up for you.
Yeah, I used to have scanners here that I would do negatives with. Not a great job, but they would convert
Yeah.
negatives into a
I have a
positive
scanner
image.
and slides, but
Yeah, I bet Zimmerman knows more than anybody because he deals with that a lot.
Yeah,
That'd
certainly.
be way cool. Be super sick. So hey, Wally, let me ask you this, man. When's the first time you skated El Pool?
I don't know. It's got to have been 75, 76. Pretty early.
Yeah.
Because I think I skated with Waldo took me out there with the Worm.
Okay,
What,
yeah, because
those guys?
Worm was skating there before all those guys. I remember that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we found out about it till I'm thinking like December 74, early 75. One of my buddies who told us about Baldy, the older brother who the guy skated with, his name was Gary Lazone. He was the one who told us about it. He's like, yeah, there's this pool over on Grove and right below Foothill. And so, that's a stick photo right there.
Yeah.
So anyhow, we
it must
got,
have been 75. I think I was riding Power Paul wheels. So
yeah,
pretty early on.
yeah, that's cool. I remember seeing you there too. That was a really awesome place to see skating, man. That pool was so special. I knocked myself out there too, so good. Crazy KO there. Like, and remember the little section where you went like east way, so you went from the 12-foot wall to like the 3 or 4 or 5 foot
Yeah.
wall. I did that. I worked out. Wow, man. My mom and dad picked me up, and I didn't remember who I was. Like, who are you guys? Who are you?
All I remember is just studying Waldo and the Worm.
Yeah.
Watch how they pump those walls.
Yeah, definitely. And the crazy thing is now when you go on Facebook, Alan Glasgow always puts his photos and video of like a Worm Bob Moore videos. You guys ever seen any of that kind of stuff on there?
Oh yeah.
Pretty badass. But anyhow, so Worm calls me one day. He's like, hey Steve, man. It's funny because Worm never called me Sal, but he always called me Steve or Alba. He's like, hey Steve. He's like, hey, you know that there's some video of on Facebook of us skating, like me and Bob and there's a kid on a bike. It's a yellow bike. The kid on a bike, that's you. And because I used to have this yellow Yamaha bike and I used to ride it up there. So like I got back on it, I started looking again. Sure enough, man, that fucking kid is me. Before I skated there, I was riding the bike in the pool. And so I just like, wow, he's got the fucking footage of that. And I was like kind of tripping. I've always said like I rode a bike and but no one ever believed me. But Worm actually came out and like, so, dude, that's you. I was like super hyped on that. You know what I mean? So just seeing all that footage just brings so many memories, man. It's just so crazy. You know what I mean?
Did the Worm send you a DVD of all his old footage?
I think I got one of them. Yeah. He did send me one of them. Yeah. It's pretty amazing stuff, really. All that like Bebo and Baldy and El Pool and just all kinds of crazy shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
Worm's footage is awesome. We played it one night. We had like at Hurley, we borrowed their theater and we played it one night. And
Yeah.
and Worm.
It's really cool seeing a
game. Was awesome.
big screen like that too. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it was cool.
So hey Wally, let me ask you this, man. Did you ever get photo incentive, right, for all those photos you got in the mag?
Totally. Oh
You
yeah.
did?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I got really great photo incentives actually.
That's
So
so cool.
like the smallest pic I could ever get in the magazine, it was $25.
Yeah.
Well, Warren kind of clued me into what everything was worth. What a cover was worth, what a full page spread, what an interview was. So he really helped me a lot in my first contract with Sims. And then he said, you want to get $25 for this really small picture because I'm getting this thing called the border drive that's going to shoot 9 frames a second. And so you're going to want to have a good photo incentive for that. So like all those sequences, you got a couple $100. Yeah.
Julie, come here real quick. Where'd everybody go? I can't see anybody now.
I still see you.
Yeah.
I know what the fuck I did. I pressed a button on accident.
Gotta be careful with those buttons.
Top right of your screen.
That's Honey right here.
Hi, Julie.
Hi.
Hi, Julie.
Okay, there you go.
Let's see your videos on. If you want to go.
Yeah, no, I tried to get rid of that and I did that.
Okay. Stay later.
I did that. I did
Good
it.
night.
Technology is failing.
Hi, Julie.
Hi. How are you guys?
Is that good? Okay, there we go.
And if you want
That's
to go,
good.
Good. Hey, buddy, how you doing, man?
if you want to do
Great.
that.
So,
everybody.
Salva, let me ask you, who did you think built the flat wall better at Baldy?
Wow. The thing is, Waldo's got all those crazy photos of that wall, the flat wall stuff, you know what I mean? But in the old days, in my opinion, the dudes who I saw a flat wall pretty rad were yourself. Like, you used to rule the flat wall was fucking Lee Geheimer. That guy was rad on the flat wall in the old days. Lee really ruled more than anybody in the old days. The guy went fucking front side higher than anybody, and in 77, 78 was fucking Valdez. That guy
Bailed pretty good on the flat wall.
Yeah, dude, there's a photo of him. This is super sick too. That's amazing. You know what I mean?
Hey,
Now, I
Ken,
could
can
go
we
high
share
that-
screens?
But I didn't go high at that point. I was kind of getting it, but I didn't go higher till a little later. You know what I mean? But yeah, the flat wall ball is a whole nother art form in itself. To be honest with you, I mean, just the way you hit it, the way you can fly out of the pipe, and but Tay was pretty good too. And who was fucking around those days was Gary Kachu Atkinson. That guy was Gary Zoo. I'm not sure you remember that dude.
Gazoo was amazing.
And who else was good? Was Kurt Cordum, the dude who skated for Val Surf. That dude had a mean front side clicky too, just like way gnarly flat wall crazy dude. You know what I mean?
Can you see that, Ken?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, there's a couple pictures from decades apart.
Is that you?
80s and then 2000, 2010. Flat
That's
wall bail.
That's cool.
And then the other one was one of the worst bails ever. I almost looped on accident. because you talked earlier about backside. No one ever did backside. They always got front side pictures, and Klaus Krabke was there with me, and I'm like, dude, I want to get a good backside still photo. And he got his camera out, and I hadn't skated there for years, and I lost my balance when I went to go high, and it was so scary. I just got my feet off there almost at freaking 11 o'clock, and I landed on the flat bottom. My foot was black and blue for about 6 weeks. Black and blue came out the top, the sides, the toes, the heels. I mean, like, I just
that looks like a gnarly ass fucking photo right there. Look at your board too. One of the craziest fucking slams I ever saw Baldy. We had Olsen there, and this is like Olsen's come up a lot in skate with us, like Johnny Ray, and like fucking Ron Emery, Taters, like back in like I'm thinking like 82, 83, right in that zone. And Olsen did this wicked fucking frontside thruster, and then he looped out backside. His board went all, and first off, he fucking hit so hard he basically broke his wrist, you know what I mean? And the board went all the way around and just nailed him right back in the shoulder after. I'm like, oh, stop, and bam! So the thing
how many bones have you broken, Steve?
Myself?
Yeah.
Dude, you guys really want to know?
I'm just curious. I've never broken a bone because I'm a pussy. You guys know that too. But
really, you never broken a bone?
No, I've never broken a bone. I fractured my wrists. I think I've had them X-ray, and they go, there's lines that healed, but I've never actually.
Fractures are just as bad as fucking breaks.
Yeah, I mean,
to be honest with you, but to be honest with you, I've broken or fractured 29 bones at this point.
Oh,
that's gnarly. How about you, Wally?
A lot. I don't, definitely my arm, my elbow. Broke my left ankle 3 times, my right ankle twice. A bunch of dislocated shoulders.
Ugh.
Bunch of fractures. Fractured my skull. But nothing really. No bones broken in half per se. But my share. I
figure mine's still coming, but
I definitely feel them today.
I'll tell you this, man. When you break a bone in half, that fucking sucks. I've done that. And it's the worst shit you can ever do. So I'm up to top. I've broken my left ankle 3 times, broken my right ankle 4 times, right wrist 4 times, left wrist 3 times, broken both elbows. The tips off my elbows gone. Right here.
My physical therapist guy told me when I hurt my ankle, and I hurt my ankle that day at Upland too, but about 6 months before I'd hurt at the combi. I hadn't been doing airs in the combi forever, and I decided I wanted to do a frontside air in the round bowl, and I didn't like where I was coming up, so I kind of tried to mentally make myself drift over a few inches, so I totally fucked up. So when I grabbed my board, I started sliding, and when I grabbed it, I pushed away from the wall, so I went a couple feet out and 3 feet away from the wall, so I just dropped straight down, like jumping into the combi, landing on the flat bottom, and I felt like I broke my ankle, but it was just super swollen. We had to be like massaged out for like 8 weeks, and he told me it's probably worse than breaking it actually, because the pain. It still hurts, but.
Yeah, the night of the combi contest, the very first one, 79. That's when I got this right here. It's a Friday night at practice. I did an alley-oop and hung up and around like 3 feet out and locked and came down, complete KO. Didn't know where I was. Blood everywhere. Complete. When they take me to the doctor, I have a skull fracture. I'm loopy. I don't know. I'm seeing double. And the doctors basically say, and the thing is, my mom works at the hospital. And my mom was the X-ray tech at the hospital. That's what my mom was. She was an X-ray tech for 30 years. So when I got fucked up, I would go to her hospital, and all her orthopedic season would fix me up, right? So that night, they stitched my fucking thing up. I'm thinking about 45, 50 stitches in. They can't give me any more Novocaine because they're afraid they're going to knock me out. I'm fucking so loopy. And so they do the last 30. I mean, I had 98 stitches here.
98, gnarly.
Yeah, so the last ones they did were like no Novocaine, just full Rambo shit, you know what I mean? But anyhow, the next day of the contest, I wanted to do so well that I still skated anyhow, even though they told me not to. And I couldn't, I didn't tell my mom and dad I was seeing double half the day, to be honest with you. I mean, I had a concussion, I was fucking like loopy and just like, whoa, you know what I mean? But I skated super rad that day and actually qualified first the whole day, all the way to the finals. And I'm thinking in my head, man, I got this shit. But then I just, kind of got tired, fell apart, didn't make it, and took third in that contest. But the crazy thing is that all the guys in Upland never won like the locals outside of Tay Hunt. never really won a contest, nothing. Like Mickey never won a pro contest there. You know, I never won a pro contest, and Miller never won a pro contest there. You know, the guys do you kind of expect to win, so to speak. You know what I mean? So I was kind of this fucking. We always thought it was like a curse of Upland, so to speak. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I mean, I've been fucked up a lot, guys. To be honest with you. And then when I was 50, well, I'm 57 now. So when I was 53, that's when I broke my collarbone here.
Yeah, I remember that. Your wheel came off, right?
3 spots. Yeah, when my wheel came off, man, that was a fucking wow.
I never had stitches till last year, and I got 16 in my face. It's the first ever one wall session I ever had. I just dropped into the little Ruka bowl and hit a soft spot in the bowl and just dove straight into the opposite side, face first, in a crowd of like 250 people standing around the bowl because there's a big event going on. It was awesome. Just stood up, dripping blood down my face, waved to everybody, walked to the hospital.
Yeah.
First stitches
How
I
many,
ever got.
how many pro contests were at Upland? Was there like a lot or like 10 or 12?
Well, they had 79.
Yeah,
The first one. It was the first Hester.
It
They
was
had
like
Hester
one or
2.
two a year for a couple of years, and then it was done.
Yeah, then they had Gold Cup, you know, 1 and 2. You know what I mean?
Hester.
And then they had the Hester by itself, the turkey shoot. You know what I mean? Yeah.
What
So
was-
Upland
what
had,
was
I'm thinking of probably at least 6 to 7 contests. You know, I'm not sure about 10.
Yeah,
Maybe.
probably not 10.
I know, so the odds
Maybe
are a little
6,
smaller.
7. And that's just the commie pool, and that's not clowning the first Hester series in the pipe bowl and all that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, I mean, out of all the skate parks that were in Southern California, and there were some good ones, there was, but the ones that lasted all was Del Mar and Upland were the last 2. So, in my opinion, that's why, and Upland even lasted past Del Mar. So, in my opinion, Upland was the most stellar skate park fucking ever. But that's because I grew up there, and I'm always gonna have that opinion. I'm sorry.
No, but you know what? I was a Big O guy, but I loved Upland. Upland was bad. I was badass. I mean, the pipe especially. I just loved the pipe. I mean, more than anything. But the 15-foot bowl, I would go for a concession there for a little bit every time. Ride the combi. I mean, it was fun.
Yeah.
I love the pipe. I love that you could carve into the pipe. The way I was a regular footer. The way you could lean over that hip and just pump into that
Yes,
pipe.
I really wanted to try to create that at the new Upland skate park, and that was part of the plans originally. And then the city guy kind of saw it. Oh, we don't have enough room to do that, and we need more room. And they kind of cut that whole fucking thing out. Like,
Yeah, it's a bummer. That's really what made it the best.
Yeah.
Because the way you could start with a pump into a thrust, you know. And,
You're barreling in their first wall at 10 o'clock.
So to be honest with you, I would love to be on, like, to just fucking love to get to design another skate park where I could put that kind of design into a pipe trip. You know what I mean? Now at this point, I've got to design 6 skate parks so far, or 6 runs of skate parks, and so that's pretty fucking sick in itself. I mean, I'm not Lance now because Lance kind of, I mean, he didn't do it in the beginning like we did. You know, he didn't do it till like after a couple, like, you know, we did Fontana 1, Fontana 2, we did Upland, I did Montclair, you know, and I helped with Louisville. I
think
Calgary.
Fontana 1's one of the best thought out parks I've ever been to. I don't know if it executed all perfectly. It was really well balanced the way it was.
Fontana 1 still fucking was really good to this day.
Well, it's thought out for skateboarding. It's thought out for everybody to have a spot, not running into everybody. There's sections in different areas, and they forget about that at skate parks, you know.
I mean,
yeah, I like Fontana 1 was really good.
and plus, to be honest with you, Wally Holiday helped do that, and Wally was, you know, in the beginning of California, Wally was the guy who showed them basically everything. Brian Pina was on the crew, but Brian's the head guy now. But in those days, Brian was just learning, and he learned from Wally Holiday, who built Cherry Hill. Remember, Wally built Upland too. Not the skate park, but he built the combi pool.
Yeah.
Bigelow, because Bigelow built Skate in the Shade.
Wally built Costa Mesa for us, and just watching him work was amazing. He was just a master, just the way he'd feel it with his hand and work the
like
lug
an
stuff.
attention to detail, you know what I mean? So the crazy thing for me is I got hired on as a consultant for the Upland skate park, and Wally was going to work there too. But before Wally kind of got there, they dug it all out, and then they rebarred the whole park, and they basically made the cement go to the rebar. And I started kind of like eyeing it one day, and just like looking, and me and a couple of my buddies went up there, and I'm telling the guys who worked there, I go, dude, this isn't right. You got like rebar every 6 to 8 feet, and it's not straight this way. It's wavy. If it's wavy, you're gonna get fucked, man. You need to take that rebar out. You need to make it every 3 feet. And take a fucking level, make sure it's all the way fucked, because you got so much flat walls. So if it's wavy, you're fucked, dude. I'm telling you. Take my fucking word for it. And I'm the consultant for here, and I hate to say it, you need to fucking listen to me. And they fucking were so mad at me. They were fucking, because they had to unweld everything. and they held the weld it back up.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we were pretty lucky. I mean, our little Costa Mesa bowl, it's just a simple thing, but we have a hip in the middle, and it was 3 feet shorter when we first built it, and it looked good on paper. But when we stood there, I just stood there and looked at it and go, that fucked the whole bowl up. It's not going to flow right. And we told the city guy, and the city guy just asked the California skateboard guys, came over. Me and Jinx mostly worked on it. We're really good. They tore the rebar out, cut the coping, extended it out 3 feet. It was rad. So it's a little narrower than it was going to be because it was tapering, and they had to go 3 feet farther. So. But it changed. It made it function better, and it was because just to know that could have been done, and it would never ridden the same, And
I gotta say, for me, that's the one thing because I mean, I did design up, and I'm super proud of it to this day. It's super fucking crazy, and it's gnarly. But the one thing that they didn't do that I wanted to do outside of the roll grid, I wanted a 10 to 12 foot radius hip when you're going into the bowl. And when they cut the bowl, I was on vacation with my wife and the kids in Hawaii. And they cut the bowl at an 8 foot radius instead of the 10 and 12 foot radius. So what it gave us a way bigger, way softer hip, almost kind of like the combi hip in the round going in, you know what I mean? Not that you can't still ride the hip it up and it's still sick as shit, but it's just it made it a little better, you know what I mean? So, and plus
I wish it had a roll in for sure. And honestly, it wasn't even just the roll in. It's the fact that it went and you got to turn when you rolled in. You rolled over. You didn't roll straight into it. You know what I mean? So even if you had a roll in from where it is now going straight, you just get it going faster. You'd probably go through it too fast. It was the original one that you got the turn. In fact, can I screen share again, Ken?
He's on another call.
Oh, Ken's on another call? Okay. I was going to say, I have a video here, skating the pipe, and it's when the fences are down towards the end. And it's watching the car when you drop in. Yeah, Ken's talking.
Yeah, but you can really camber out of that kind of bank run to get into the pipe. And again, I mean, I got to give Wally credit. He was saying, even when I was a kid, when I went to the first couple times, you saw everybody walking down the stairs and trying to push to get
in the
speed.
back,
And then, Wally's saying he just kind of dropped in the pipe and kind of get speed to kind of go in because he rode Arizona pipes and had kind of like this knowledge from the downhill sections and all this prior knowledge. You use at this new place and kind of forwarded this kind of expertise. And so the cool thing, like, it's going to sound a little esoteric right here, but the cool thing about me as a kid and seeing Wally now, and we're having this conversation now, like literally 40 some years after the fact. The point is, when I was a little kid, he was passing on knowledge to me. And then I was passing on knowledge to these other guys, to Miller and Chris Robinson, to my brother. And then they pass knowledge on. So the thing is the knowledge gets passed in skateboarding to these generations. And it's just almost like football and baseball, even though it's not that kind of shit at all.
Yeah.
But my point is this stuff's kind of getting passed on, this expertise, so to speak, this technology, this technique, this aesthetic, you know what I mean?
Well, it's good that it came back. We absorbed it from our prior generations, and then we liked to hand it out. And then for a while, that street culture thing changed. It nobody wanted to hear anything. Nobody had any interest. And now the young kids are back again. Kids want to skate with older guys. They want advice. They ask. I actually like that. It's nice that the younger.
Well, back in the early '90s, when street first kind of was really coming in, all of us vert guys were like, just like whack, because a lot of us had paychecks, and then we're not getting paychecks now. These kids are getting paychecks, and it shifted. And so a lot of the kind of guys don't get jealous, so to speak, but dude, you got bills to pay. You got fucking paycheck, you know what I mean? And now that ain't kind of happening. And so you got to kind of deal, everybody got cut. I mean, that was just the way the industry was at that time frame. And it was a whole new trip. And it wasn't until, a little later. Now I've always been friends with the Gons or Nodis and all these guys that we, just skate pipeline with me, you know what I mean? And I was always hip to those guys, but it took me a long time to kind of wrap my head around this whole thing. And in those days it was like, fuck you, old man. It was fuck you, you little fuckers with your fucking baggy pants, little wheels, like fucking get a fucking clue, and so that shit definitely happened, man. And to be honest with you, sometimes I hate to fucking say this, but it's good to have a little friction. It's good to have a shake up that little fucking bottle a little bit, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what it needed, man. And skateboarding need to be turned up.
You're good at that. I've wanted to run you over a couple times.
So, and that respect was kind of rad. Hey, I'm sure everybody's wanted to run me over a couple times.
Absolutely.
When I'm on my fucking mode and I get on that fucking crazy shit, I'm just like.
That's how we're all wired differently, because I'm not wired that way. So it kind of like gets on my nerves at times. Like, God damn it. Do I have to run somebody over to get in? Fuck. I'm not that intense. I'm just not very intense.
I'll be the first to admit, like learning from Wally and the guys in the old days, snaking, dude. When you're free pipeline. If you're gonna get a run in a 12-foot pole, dude, and there's all these fucking dudes lined up on the deck, there was definitely a pecking order. But dude, if you didn't step in and just fucking kind of like, dude, and take your little shit, okay, like 3 fucking runs in, like you're taking 3 pushes, okay, he's gone. You didn't. So I mean, I'm just saying there was that kind of shit that.
Oh, I get it. I'm much better at snaking now than I used to be, but I used to really hate it, you know.
Yeah. So, I
And
mean,
Mickey was really good at it. I remember at the Big O at the Gold Cup Series, I ran Mickey over once because I had to show him if he's gonna keep snaking me. Like I literally dropped in behind him and ran him over.
I mean, I was all mad at Big O once because like Lucy fucking shot his board at me. I'm like, fuck, how dare you, little 13-year-old fucker? And then I fucking went and spit on him. And his dad come over like and trying to grab me like, what do you fucking do to my kid? Well, fuck you, Gil fucking Lucy, you fucking Veribat motherfucker. That kind of shit, you know what I mean?
Verabot motherfucker.
I'll be the first to admit it was like that for sure. You know, there's no denying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Can you guys see my upland? I'm gonna show you here's my pipe. My favorite pipe clip. Can you see it?
Yeah, we.
Yep. Go for it.
Yeah, I love that drop in right there. Look at that. Never was there a pipe you could do that in. You know.
hey, is this that footage you got of like the last kind of days kind of shit?
What's that?
Is this that footage you got from like the last kind of like days on YouTube?
It was, yeah. All the fences were down and
Yeah, there's like a 20-minute clip of all the skating and shit.
exactly.
I
love this thing. And I used when you talk about backsides, I used to like doing backsides by the edge of the pipe with my wheels kind of hanging out, almost like cess slide, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Right off that edge right there.
Yeah.
What year was
the
that?
fences down, dude? It was so. I love when the fences were down. You could carve so differently, you know. It's like
Yeah. Yeah, that was when it was the best, to be honest with you.
oh, this is the last month or two were the best sessions ever.
You can like roll out in a 15-foot ball speed, then roll in a 12-foot ball.
No, it was so
What-
rad.
What year was that for the young ones that don't know?
That's like 89 because they
Beginning of
closed-
88 to 89.
Yeah, whenever it was within months of it closing.
Yeah, but
Okay,
that's
so you can't be showing video of something without teaching the young ones.
that's
I
like
didn't know.
spring 89. You know what I mean?
Sorry, Tony.
When were you
It's
born,
okay.
Tony?
92.
So this was this. You were 3 years post, you know,
3 years
daddy.
to the negative.
I wasn't even a concept yet.
Well, you weren't even a
The
fucking
sparkle in
sperm
your father's eyes.
You weren't even a jack fucking yet.
That's rad though. That's rad.
That is
But
kind of
hey,
weird.
I got
How old are you, Tony?
another
25.
I'm about to be 28. I just wanted to make sure for, like, cause these have been posted and stuff like that. And people are seeing them. So people need to know these dates.
Okay, yeah. So that was then 89. Whenever it closed, I was never really good at dates because I was always working. I never really worked or lived as a pro skateboarder. Really, I made money as a pro skateboarder, a little bit extra. I never was like a traveling the world kind of guy. I was always full time employed in the mortgage business, all these different things. So, I skated probably a lot less than a lot of guys. So I forget dates. I mean, I got some pictures yesterday. I posted I think it's 81 or 82. I don't know.
No, it's rad. That's what I just wanted to ask that question just because, it's important for
yeah,
history.
that was a great session. That was like, we had like a lot of the, Steve was there a lot. We had like Jinx and Chuck Holtz and Kelly Belmar. I mean, these are like a lot of the Orange County diehard were the leftover last guys hanging out at Upland and a couple of locals, It's like,
Yeah, it came a lot too was Nodis and the Venice guys. They would come out a whole bunch, man. And Nodis was like one of the first Jews ever that kind of like would do an air out of the 15-foot bowl into the banks, right? He would kind of ollie, and then he actually
That bowl was 15 foot?
Yeah,
well, the big ball was 15 foot. That one was
the big
13,
ball
right?
hit, but the hip kind of led into the banks, like depending on the angle of the hip was super round and probably about a
yeah.
I mean, how big do you think the diameter was? I mean, like maybe a
That's
10-foot.
huge.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I still like doing lip slides because I'm regular foot. I do lip
15
slides into the
feet,
shallow from the deep,
It had a really deep waterfall to go into it, so it kind of made a really nice pocket right there.
Yeah.
I mean, Upland's hips were amazing.
I love the
have to
15-foot
admit.
bowl. I mean, even for as lumpy as it was, and it was lumpy as fuck. You know what I mean? It tried to suck
Lumpy
the
as
speed out of
fuck.
you. But,
Yeah,
when you had
it was
nice
like-
open pockets, you could
It
get
was like
speed.
riding over a fucking goddamn leprosy fucking colony. Too.
Oh, yeah, no, it was,
You know what I mean? But dude,
Guys,
it was
so
awesome.
Got here, I'm jumping in from Tennessee. Salva, what do you think about the new Upland Park as opposed to the old Upland Park? I've skated the new Upland Park. I've skated that pipe there. It's a little bit tough to get into. What's your comparison between the old and the new?
Well, I mean, I'll say this much, man. The new Upland's pipe is completely fucking 100 times better than Upland's pipe. Because Upland's pipe was so lumpy.
Yeah.
Now outside of that, Upland Skate Park's pipe and the hip combination was way better than what we have at Upland now. You know what I mean? But now that being said, I designed the extension walls of Upland to mimic Baldy pipe flat wall. And I think I did a really good job of that because they're not straight. They're slightly angled like Baldy is too. And that's one thing that people don't realize at Upland. When you're riding that section, it's not straight, it's a slight angle. So when you actually look down, it kind of V's up just a slightly, but it's definitely there a little bit. And to ride that flat wall section right there, like you used to ride Baldy, you almost have to go straight up and down, almost set side to get into it. Now that being said, it is tricky, but I did do that on purpose to make that NAR factor between Baldy and old pipeline to kind of get that in there still, you know what I mean? Now outside of that, I still think the pipe's way better. Now, we're local, so we kind of did figure out how to get into the pipe. Now, are you regular or goofy foot?
I'm a regular foot.
Okay, so here's how you get into the pipe sweet. And this is one thing I did figure out pretty early on. You got to hit a grind on the extension, which is the small extension, front side, and then you set up for a backside, kind of like almost like we did an old pipeline, like a backside Tay Hunt, kind of like almost like a carve in the pipe. Because remember, you still got plenty of feet, and there's 40 feet of, you know what I mean? You're doing this big backside fucking like 9:30, 10 o'clock to come in straight to that last section to get that front side thruster right next to the edge. So when you kind of figure that out, then it's just completely insane. Because from there, once you do the front side on the edge, then you go backside of the hip. And once you learn how to go backside of the hip, like I used to watch Wally and those guys, they always used to carve it. But then there's that one picture of Wally that Sims Addy had where he's doing that sick ass wheeler, that fucking edger. He just rides over that round lip. It's like, man, that's just so beautiful.
Yes.
When I saw him do that for the first time, I was just going, man. And I couldn't do this at that time. I didn't have the skills yet at that time frame. But I'm thinking, what if you could do a backside arrow right there? It's got to go fucking hard. You know
Just
what I mean?
one
So,
more quick question, Steve. So you said you helped design the Louisville skate park. Was that the first generation of the pipe?
that's the first
or the
generation.
second generation? There have been two iterations there.
Yeah, it was the first one.
Both of them been very good. So
yeah, the first one. And the only reason I got kind of like asked to kind of help do that because Zach Wormhout, he's the designer of that park.
right.
And Zach did, Santa Cruz Park. And I'm not sure if all you guys know on the panel who know who Zach Wormhout is. I mean, Wally knows who he is, but Zach Wormhout is just gnarly on surf for the first Mavericks.
Big wave rider, yeah.
Insane fucking
Wow.
crazy surf fucking gnarly. He rides Jaws like 50 that. But anyhow, how he got into the business, his dad built Derby Skate Park in Santa Cruz. That's how he got into it. So because his dad built Derby, and they've always done like landscape architecture. His dad always has in all these other places. So that's kind of how he got his in to doing the skate parks. And through then, he's built a couple things. And then again, I heard that Louisville was going to get a pipe, and then I called Zach. I go, dude, I heard you're going to build this pipe. Like you can't fuck this up, man. Like this, And I hear you're going to use the same kind of machinery they use in Canada. If you use the same thing they use in Canada, the Calgary pipe, it's going to fall on you and it's going to fuck up. And you don't use that fucking goddamn thing. You use what they did at Upland, please. And I'm telling him this. I was like pleading with him. You know what I mean? And so anyhow, they got the same fucking goddamn form they use at Calgary, at Louisville, and the pipe collapsed. Not the whole thing, but the flat bottom, right where the halfway part kind of fell down. And then Zach calls me up and goes, dude, it did exactly what you said it was going to do. And I go, dude, I fucking told you, because the guys in Canada told me that was going to happen. And man, they don't trust the Canadians. You trust yourself. So at that point, he called some other guys to kind of work over there, and they did fix it. But at that point, they needed to kind of write it off with the city. And then he didn't want to have Zach didn't want to have the city's fucking thing. So he flew me out there like, hey, Steve, will you test the pipe and tell me what I need to do? And at that point, the first time I wrote it, it was kind of had like a little lump on the bottom. They tore it out
Yes.
and kind of redid it. You know what I mean? But once they redid
Yes.
it, then it was fucking pretty golden. Now I'm not sure if you were there when we were there originally. I got to skate the skate park for almost like 10 days before they even opened it. And then after they opened it, I got to go back for the opening, and I got to skate there for another week.
The new
Wow.
one or the old one?
I was actually in Louisville for that whole time frame, and then Bruce Martin came from Ohio.
Yeah.
And then the Thrasher guys came through for the first King of the Road shit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And dude, that fucking night when we were skating for the King of the Road guys, and like me and Hugh were in that pipe, and Bruce Martin and Omar and fucking Rune, dude, I would love to see some footage of that shit because some shit.
I wasn't there for all of that, but I skated that within the first few weeks of it opening, and it was very good. It became degraded not too long after that. They've built it new now. It's quite a bit
I made
better.
a new one. I'd love to go check out the new one for sure.
The new one's awesome.
Yeah, I hear it looks amazing.
Question for Steve, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
First of all, enjoying some of your guitar playing on Instagram as well as, of course, your skating. So, cheers.
Thanks, man.
Steve.
Of course, a very memorable photo was the spread in Skateboarder magazine of you and Scott Dunlap with, you know, snow-covered Baldy in the background. I've seen two shots of that with your hand like kind of in slightly different positions on Dunlap's back. Can you tell us a little bit about that session, how that photo came to be constructed? What are your memories of it? It's arguably one of the best photos in the history of skateboarding, in my opinion. So thanks very much.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, that's the very thing. I really appreciate that. You know, to be honest with you, it's kind of funny because you're not the only person who says that. You know what I mean? And
I agree with that.
And personally, it's hard to talk about yourself on one hand, but out of all my photos I've ever had taken, that is definitely one of the most iconic photos of all time. In my opinion. So like Glenn Friedman, he would argue with this shit because he'd say, no, Dogtown, fuck you guys, you don't know what's fuck up. But you know, Friedman's kind of stuck in the fucking old days. This was about kind of progression, you know what I mean, as far as I'm concerned.
But we're skateboarders. We get to decide. Fuck him. He's a photographer. I mean, if you want to put it like that, that's his viewpoint. As skateboarders, that was a bitchin' photo of two skateboarders in a sick spot. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you a super quick sidebar on that. You can finish it. Remember when they had the indie book signing thing at ASR or whatever, and they were selling prints? Like I was about to buy that print from the book, the proof page, and then Jim Cassimus actually wanted it himself, so I didn't bid on it, so he could buy it himself, even though he took the photo. He bought the proof thing because I bought one of Cardiel. I want to dress in, and I wanted to get that one. So it was one of my favorite photos ever. Seriously, I don't look at Baldy so fucking white in the background was epic. And then it was in that time. I mean, come on, doubles and guys touching and weird and the gnarliest bowl you could skate. I mean, it was like, that was a really fucking epic.
Yeah, but anyway, to get back to it, the funniest thing is of this whole story is I learned frontside airs in a 15-foot bowl, which is completely stupid. You know what I mean?
What?
And yeah, to learn frontside airs in that bowl, which is like, I don't know how or why I did it, but that's just kind of where I learned it. You know what I mean? And so the thing is, what I used to do is I used to kind of carve around the whole bowl. I come down the whole bank run, right, and then kind of cut in, and then try to cut in frontside all the way through, and it did this big ass carve on the face wall to the sidewall, so I could kind of cut up to the waterfall again. And then once I cut the waterfall, I'd cut to the hip, and then kind of like, because you couldn't. It's hard to explain. I have this method that kind of Wally and these guys even showed me when I was a kid. Is when you kind of go up the wall on a pool, sometimes you're going to go over the light. You can't just go where you're going to go. Sometimes you got to cut up to the left, kind of keep yourself centered.
In a pool, you have to change your outcome every time. The pool's not the same. I've only.
It was the same thing in the 15-foot pool. You couldn't just kind of just flow with it. You kind of almost had to come out of the hip and then kind of almost cut a little bit to kind of go up the wall. So instead of going frontside, you had to kind of veer the wall a little bit backside. And then front side, kind of like, you know what I mean? But anyhow, once I kind of figured that out and learned it, Dunlap in those days was my doubles partner for my little brother later on. And me and Dunlap always practicing, we did doubles in the contest. And, as far as me touching his back, I mean, definitely there's 3 or 4 of those we definitely made like that. It was just kind of habit. It wasn't even like meant to. Sometimes we were just so close. It's like, whoa. I mean, and you still see that to this day in doubles contests where people are so close. So like you don't really mean to touch, but sometimes you just accidentally touch. Now, the one thing I got to say, man, is even that we're talking about all this shit, but and as good as we all are, so to speak, or whatever, but we wouldn't have nothing if these guys wouldn't have captured that moment in time too. So that's kind of in my book what's
I
so
agree.
special about skateboarding.
That's why I let Casimus have his own photo.
And more special about like some of this other shit, like those other sports, man. And think about how fast you got to capture this image in skateboarding because it happens so fucking fast. It ain't like it's almost like swinging a bat. It's that fast. It ain't no
one in a million.
I mean, yeah, and to capture that fucking image that good, and that guy's got the eye for
One
that.
in a
To capture
million.
that, it's just pretty amazing in its own right. So the point I'm trying to make is in the 70s, things were more special than they are nowadays, man. Today is almost like a homogenized world compared to what it was. And I hate to say that, but it's the truth, man. And in those days, man, like, you didn't have a fucking phone. You go, and take that little fucking, that sequence on speed. I mean, it wasn't until 78, 79 we had to leave another sequence on the camera. Then you had to catch that boom. So the trial and error.
When they were shooting real film too, it was wasted if they didn't capture it. So
yeah, but I mean, it's just pretty. And then these guys are shooting with slide film and slides and and Africa film and Fuji film. And the thing about all the 70s photos, man, the colors are so vivid. Yeah, I mean, I have some iconic photos myself, and that's great. I mean, I can't erase that history. It's always going to be there. And it's something like whatever. I mean, for me, I always like to move forward and talk about today as opposed to the past, and that's whatever. But the thing is, too, is you can't escape that. It's there, man. These images are there for people to kind of.
Oh, you should be stoked on that. How lucky are you?
And I am.
That is one of the best skateboard photos ever.
I am kind of stoked, but again, as much as I have all these iconic images, I always kind of go back to Wally. When some of these guys I see iconic images, a Waldo, a Bally pipe, Wally flying on a pipeline, like Tony Alba on a piece of wood at Fruit Bowl. Like the fact that Stesic kind of captured some of those images in the old days too, and kind of told that story is pretty amazing too.
I bought one of the J. Adams.
So one of the raddest things about what I just heard Steve say was I went to Grant Bertain's video or film. Stop. Video or film. What was that? Grant Bertain's video, his photo thing in Encinitas, like 2 years ago, right? You guys remember that? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The one at the bar.
Yeah. No, it was in the theaters.
The La Paloma Theater. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't go there.
Yeah. And one of the best things, and what you just said, Steve, is that he was like, you don't understand how raw it was to capture some of these things back then, because you only had 20, 30 exposures. That's all you had. That was it. You couldn't do anything more.
Yeah, you had to be in the right place at the right time to capture that shit. I mean,
you couldn't burst it. You couldn't look at it right after. You had to develop it. You had to do all these things. And I remember him like coming up after his whole thing was done, and him like asking Q&A and everything like that. And that was one of the things that really stuck to me. Is like you didn't know if you got the photo. You didn't know.
Yeah,
so
it's like Christmas when they got them developed. Like, are they gonna have a present in there, or like?
So whenever one of these photos was taken, like especially these iconic photos that you look at, they didn't even know they got it. They had no idea.
Definitely didn't.
They weren't like, oh, I got the photo. You're good.
No. I mean, back then, you had 36 exposures, and then you had to wait a week. I mean, you were stoked if you got one image out of 36 photos.
That's exactly right. Ask Mofo. He knows.
Then
some of the guys
photo drives came out, then photographers had to carry around 10 rolls of film. And then you could borrow one if you were lucky. If you ran it.
I mean,
somebody bailed 3 times, you were done.
Not only capturing that image at that right time, your exposure had to be right, and your everything
had to be right.
So much more than today.
So Tony, you want to see Upland's 15-foot bowl?
Of course I do. Like that kind of blew my mind. I did not know that was that big.
My background on my
footage.
background on my chat is the hip. If you want to see that,
can you see that right now?
Rad.
Can you see this, Tony?
No, not yet.
Can you see it?
No, it's just your background and your smug face.
You're not sharing yet.
Another thing that I did have a question for Steve is did you ever skate the Boulder? Because I grew up in Colorado.
Boulder was a shit.
I got a
Boulder,
lot of good slides, PowerFlex slides from Boulder. Some
what Boulder? The old park in Boulder?
Yeah. Because I grew up in Colorado, so my history is Colorado skateboarding. You know, I mean, I got
So that-
Skate Colorado on right now,
That place is
and
fucking
so
bad.
like that's one of the big things is like I got some.
Play it,
You know,
Jim.
a lot of the people that I skated with
I'm gonna
were
play this for you, Tony.
older skaters in Colorado, but
This is Upland's 15 foot ball.
oh damn.
nice lip slide. Yeah.
Flip slide where Stacy Prof did it.
And there's no coping or anything, right? It's just poured. Okay, cool.
You had to find your speed, man. That was lumpy as fuck too. You know, it's like, you know.
Yeah. So there's one skate park in Colorado still that has no coping. It's Grand Junction.
Yeah. So Tony, that thing was gnarly. That was like Washington Street or whatever, like some of the lumpy DIY stuff. The whole park was, you know, and our boards were sketchier. And sorry, I got to turn that off.
Yeah, no, that's so rad. I love it.
Definitely was a crazy time.
When I see that bowl, I think of Tay Hunt just launching these huge backside airs. And as a kid looking in the magazine and just thinking, how's that done? Like, how? It's, you know, talk about defying gravity.
There's something weird about a big bowl when you lose your fear and you're young. It's actually almost safer to do a big air in a big bowl because you have more drawn out landing room. You know, a tight bowl is kind of sketchy. It comes up too quick, you know.
One of the things I've always said to like friends that street skate and they try to skate bowls and stuff like that is like they try to do stuff in like inverts and stuff like that in like shallow bowls, and I'm like, it's easier on vert.
Way easier.
Like way easier.
Like
I'm not a big fan of like big bowls.
7 or 8 feet to be kind of easy, a little bit of vert. You know what I mean? But as far as like, I mean, I used to do them on 5 or 6 foot ramps, but you had to be really good at it, know how to like arc your back and stuff like that. But when someone's trying to learn it, you're like, damn, it's so much easier to do on like a 9 foot or bowl or 10 foot bowl, you know. So like the new vert ramps were like 13 feet. We rode them, they were 11. The 13 foot ones scare the shit out of me just standing on the coping looking so big. But you can really watch when guys skate them when they skate them all the time. They actually have a much easier time with their airs, and it's much more fluid. It's more drawn out. You know, the tranny to the vert ratio gives them more landing room, and so yeah, it's kind of a relative thing. And then there's just being young and being stupid. So that's the thing. You know, it's like I couldn't even imagine the 15 foot bowl would scare the living fuck out of me today. But you know, but back then.
So hey, I don't mean to butt in, but I mean I know you guys kind of want to all talk to me, but I want to talk to Wally. So, dude, I got another question for you.
Get Wally talking.
So you know that one Wally you shot where you got the Sims jersey on and you're in Montebello and you're doing that sick ass like Burt on the bank and you're kind of
wasn't that a cover shot?
Yeah, can you talk about Montebello at all?
Montebello. It was a tiny park. I mean, I was lucky. It was a mile from my house. It was at the bottom of a 55-mile-an-hour run. So I would walk out my front yard, take 3 or 4 pumps, and then go down this hill 55 miles an hour straight to Montebello. It was kind of small and snake runish, you know. And I mean, it was supposed to be 3 different phases, and that was actually my first job. I got a job at Montebello, and you had to you're supposed to start at the little tiny bowl and prove yourself and kind of graduate to the snake run, and they had tryouts in the snake run, and everybody was just coming down the snake run and exiting. And so Curtis Hesselgrave at the time, he said it was my turn, and so I went down the snake run and then pumped back up to the top and stopped. And I said, how's that? And he said, well, I guess you got a job. But
so you met Curtis there then. So Curtis worked there at that time?
Curtis, Bobby Piercy, Conrad Miyoshi, Steve Schischler, all the San Diego guys came up to help run the park. So that's where I met all those guys.
So they were actually living there or just kind of coming there to work?
They actually moved them up there for, I want to say, about 5 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's how you met Curtis then.
That's how I met Curtis. That's how I met Stropel too. I met Stropel, and then Brad Strandley got a job, and he was actually my supervisor.
Brad, awesome.
He kept seeing this blonde haired kid jumping the fence and sneaking in, so it was my job to go kick him out.
And that was Brad.
And so I went, hey dude, you can't be jumping the fence. You gotta pay your dues, blah blah blah. And he went, I have pools. So I went back to Brad and said, hey, he's okay. He's got some pools. We're gonna go see him later. That's how I met Stropel.
That's so cool.
So I have a question for Tom. You were on the cover of Skateboard magazine skating East Coast Skate Park way back in the day. Tell us about your East Coast trip. What do you think about the East Coast as compared to the West Coast?
Well, that cover at Gaithersburg, that was kind of the really start of my career. At the time, I was kind of skating for Sims, and we were all skating the Char Bowl up in Santa Barbara, and Sims comes up and says, "Come on in, away, you got to go." And you know how Sims was super, super hyper. So he throws me in his BMW. We go straight to the Santa Barbara airport, and he loads me up with a couple of boxes and stuff. I get in a private plane and fly to San Diego.
Wow.
San Diego airport, there's Warren Bolster, Stacy Peralta, Greg Weaver, Tom Stewart, Rodney Jesse's, a few other guys I can't remember now. And we fly to the East Coast, and we're going to tour the East Coast for 2 weeks. So we fly into Gaithersburg, Maryland. I proceeded to call my mom and says, hey, Mom, you need to call the school. I'm not going to be in school for 2 weeks. She goes, what do you mean? I says, well, I'm in Maryland. And so she asked she told me, she got my dad. My dad said, hey, Dad, I was in Santa Barbara. Next thing you know, I'm in a private plane, in a commercial airline, and I'm in Gaithersburg, Maryland, and I'm going to tour the East Coast for 2 weeks with Skateboarder magazine. And so he just said, well, you have a good time, and I'll talk to you when you get home. East Coast, back then, all those parks they were all good. I mean, I like every park that I skate. Every park is different, right?
Sure.
Every park has got one feature, two features that kind of stand out to make it that fun park. And back then it was still pretty surf style, pretty wide open, super, super fast banks. So, it's at that time, all the parks were kind of about the same,
Is that Mr. G right there? What's up, Grant?
Hey, Grant Britton.
Hey,
G. So I had a great time, and then it's so funny because I got home and my dad sat me down and he says, hey, looks like the skateboard stuff is kind of panning out. Maybe you should chase this dream and go for it. And I kind of went, well, what do you mean? And he says, well, I think these companies can pay you money to ride that thing. I said, really? So that's when I called Sims and said, hey, my dad says that I should come ride for you because you could pay me.
Awesome.
And that's how my career started. And then my parents let me drop out of high school to skateboard full time.
All because of the East Coast.
Yeah.
Awesome.
How old were you at that time frame?
What?
How old were you at that time frame?
17, getting ready to turn 18.
So you were like a junior going to be a senior.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
Great question, J-Cab. Thanks for asking it. That was a good one.
Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. Well, old East Coast roots.
Yeah. Of course, I'm
How
going
you
to
doing,
tell kids
Freddie?
not to drop out of high school anymore.
Good to see you, Freddie.
But.
Hi, Grant. Hi, Freddie. Hi, Jeff.
JTB.
Hi, Tony. Hi, Tom. Hi, Kurt.
Freddie,
Hi, Jim. Hi, Ken.
Freddie, man. He's still in
Johnny
Florida.
Hallam doing housework in Australia.
Oh, he's on mute. I can't hear him. He's on mute right there. Boom, right?
But you know, also with that
Hey.
East Coast
There
trip,
you go.
Nice to see everybody.
you know,
How
that
you
East
doing,
Coast
Freddie?
trip we ended up going to.
Doing good, Steve. How are you?
Tony.
Are you in Florida still? Or you back home?
I'm home. I'm home.
Okay, I have a Freddie question.
Uh-oh.
Hey.
How did you get into skateboarding?
You know what? I used to race BMX, and I got hurt racing BMX. I landed on my knee, and my knee blew up, water in the knee. And while I rehabbed, my buddies in the neighborhood, little Johnny Ernst, I don't know if you guys remember Johnny Ernst.
Johnny Ernst.
Yeah, and another neighbor. Those guys had these little boards. And they used to go over to Cadillac Wheels and forge through the trash can and steal, or not steal, but grab some seconds. And I went with those guys, grabbed some seconds. My dad made a plexiglass board for me, and I started riding. And I kind of went back to BMX a little bit, but I was smitten by skateboarding at the time, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's good. That's a really cool story. Because for me, the one thing I love about fucking skateboarding more than fucking anything, it cuts across all the fucking races, man, and all the socioeconomic bullshit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So,
That's the best thing about
doesn't matter
it.
if you're rich, doesn't matter if you're fucking poor, doesn't matter if you're white Mexican like me, doesn't matter if you're black like you, doesn't matter if you're Japanese like Wally. I mean, there's so many things about this, and you know what? We don't give a fuck about any of that shit. Because when it comes down to it, we just like to skateboard, and we all love each other, and we know how hard it is to ride this goddamn little wooden toy ride.
It's like music.
It goes out the door.
Yeah, hey, that's such a true story.
It kind of goes back to the music thing too. We're like, it doesn't matter, man. You're just making this like rad shit.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, that's why I think skateboarding is so cool, because it just cuts across all that stuff. That shit does not matter. And that's one reason I'm asking this question, because for me, now this is gonna maybe sound kind of a little funny. Now, growing up in the '70s, I was at Egg Bowl one day, right? Egg Bowl's in Pomona. And I met this black kid and this Mexican kid, and his name was Tom Gonzalez, and the black kid was named Vince Dennis, and they both skateboarded. And they were both kind of in a gang. They were like in P12 at that time.
Oh, wow.
This was kind of gnarly. This is like, we're talking like, dude, 77, 78 in that time frame.
Okay. Yeah.
79. And so, you know, they're kind of stoked on us because we're skating. And at that time frame, the Mexican kind of gang ran Egg Bowl. And they were all like living in there and shit. And so, like, because Tom was one of those dudes, Tom told those guys, like, you guys, you can't fuck with Steve and his friends. These guys are skater dudes, and these guys are super cool.
Yeah, buddy.
Whenever they come here, man, you gotta be cool.
Right.
So we come together all the time, and we always had, everything was always awesome. We never had a problem with that. And then eventually, I got super into the gang and just stopped skating. But Vince kept skating. And so the thing is, I would kind of go to Vince's house and bring to my house. And at that time, I'm thinking like Vince is 15, and Vince had a stepdad who was like a preacher, but he wasn't a preacher. He was like a drunk fucking idiot. And he was always beating up on Vince's mom and beating up on the kids and stealing people's money, basically, and just swindling people, basically. So one day we come back from skating, come to the house, and this guy's beating up Vince's mom. And I'm like, I mean, I'm 16, I got a car, and Vince is 15, and I don't know what to do. I'm fucking freaked out. This guy's beating this fucking lady up right in front of us. So Vince fucking just powers this guy. He beats him fucking down. And I'm thinking, man, this is fucking so crazy. Like, what are we gonna do, man? I can't leave you here. You're coming with me. So he comes to my house, and at that point, Max, who's the stepdad, Vince has had it out for him. Max didn't like Vince. So somehow, some way, Vince's mom and my mom talked. This is so crazy right here. And so anyhow, we told Vince, you're gonna live with us. And Vince says, oh yeah, I want to live with you. And Vince's mom wrote off on it. And Vince's mom basically said, you know what? You guys can like live, you know, Vince can live with you and go to school. But my mom had a thing, like, you know what? You're not going to come live here, Vince, unless you go to school like the boys. And my mom was not like Wally. I didn't get to cut fucking high school. My mom was like, you ain't getting A's and B's, you ain't fucking going anywhere.
Right.
So I had to get A's and B's to do my trip, you know what I mean? So anyhow, we moved Vince in. Vince lived with us as a 15-year-old kid to go through high school with us. And Vince goes all through high school with us. He's a black kid living with us. So
wow.
I've always like this thought, in my opinion, I've always had this cool thing. Like I was just stoked when the black kids skated because in the old days, that was kind of a rare thing, man.
Oh,
And-
absolutely.
And so like, and I'm not trying to kind of allude to any race or anything. I was just thinking, man, it was so outside the box that you guys skated that it was fucking so sick in my book. I was like, man, I'm thinking, man, that's fucking badass. And so in my opinion, I always had like a good rapport with you. I always had a good thing with Vince, but I think it all came from Vince originally. Like I had a good thing with Peanut Brown.
Kevin
I
Foster.
got a good thing with Chuck Street this day. And like, you know, all the black dudes love me. Statham loves me. And I don't even know what it is. I don't know if it came from Vince, but I don't like all that racist shit. You know me. I don't like the N word. I don't like that fucking bullshit. You know me.
Right.
I think it's so cool though that again, and it goes back to me saying like it doesn't matter who you are, black, white, purple, polka dot, fucking Chinese, whatever. But I just
You didn't
think
like the Asian persuasion?
yeah.
Oh,
Come on,
Lonnie.
man.
Lonnie.
Come on, man.
Bonnie.
But what I'm just getting at right there, I think it was super sick that even in those days, that man, like when I saw you skating, even though like I gotta admit the Verabots and the fucking let's face it, we all kind of like that, but let's face it, man,
A
we all
racial
loved
slur
each
in
other.
skateboarding.
We all loved each other at the same time. We really did.
Yeah.
I mean, I had so
You
much
know,
respect for you guys, and yeah, I know you guys had so much respect for me.
absolutely.
And on one hand, it was almost kind of like a game where the magazines kind of pitted us against each other. It was
Exactly.
like the magazines pit me against Olsen. Like me and Olsen were best fucking bros. We didn't fucking brawl at all. You know what I mean? In the old days. So it's kind of funny how that kind of happens. And you know,
Right.
like, stories like we all fucking hate each other, but in
Right.
reality, we didn't hate each other. We all fucking loved each other. And we
Oh,
kind of
definitely.
vibed each other, like, you know, fucking make your shit pussy, that kind of shit, and whatever. That's just the 70s. You know what I mean? But I just, you know, that's why I kind of want to know how you first skated. And
That's it's a great story, and I appreciate you saying that. I'll say this, and that is that the whole Veriflex Santa Cruz indie thing, for me, I never felt like I was a part of that mashing of that bad scene, because I was always a good rapport with with Bulky, and even with DP, I wasn't so bad.
I was more like Eddie and Dwayne more than anything. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it was cool. I have a story to tell about the race thing, and that is that when we toured with Veriflex, we did a summer tour.
Yeah,
and,
was that 80? Was that 1980 or 81?
We did both. We did one in 80, and we also did one in 81.
Yes,
And,
I have a question about that later, Freddie, but go ahead.
Say that again?
I have a question about that tour.
Oh, okay.
81.
Okay.
Go ahead with your story, and I'll follow up.
So on the tour, we went, we went a bunch of places, and one of the places that we went was a place in Alabama, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Gadsden, Alabama, and there was a new skate park there, and when we were driving in a van, and as we were going through and driving, I was really, really concerned about going to Alabama. And I remember when we were driving there in the van, I actually, believe it or not, I actually sat lower in the van just so that I wasn't seen, because I was concerned about that whole vibe that was going on there. And the one thing that Gil used to do is when we get to the skate park, he'd always ask the people at the skate park about, or have us ask about places to stay, as opposed to putting us up in a hotel for the night to kind of, keep the budget, decent for the tour. And so that was a thing that I was completely concerned about. Here we are, we're going to Alabama. I'm not digging this, but we're going, and what's going to happen when that question comes up? What am I going to do? And lo and behold, this park, which was a really sketchy little park, but Eric and I seemed to skate it really well, with compared to the others. And the people there were stoked, and I was like pleasantly surprised that a bunch of people asked me to stay, with them. And so it took the whole stigma away. And that's I love that story for me, because it totally epitomized what skateboarding was about and what everyone was about in skateboarding. It didn't matter, like Steve just said, it didn't matter. If you could skate, then you were cool. And And that's the one thing that I'll take with me to the grave, is how inviting that the world of skate has been.
Yeah, and I think that's the common
Awesome.
denominator in skateboarding is most skaters don't look at it that way. I mean, they kind of champion every kind of aspect of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one kind of thing, I liked about Grasso's love letters things. He championed all these different things, like the Japanese guys and Chinese guys and girls,
Right.
and boys and amateurs and what have you. And that's super cool in its own right. It really is,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think.
Go ahead.
No, finish up, Freddie. Sorry, I didn't mean.
Oh
to
no,
jump.
I'm good. I was just gonna say that, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, I have, who would ever thought that 45 years later that we have this group of friends developed from a little wooden toy with some round wheels on it, you know. Who would have thought?
So, Freddie, I have a question to ask.
Yes, sir.
Back at that time, there was a thing going on in Nashville, Tennessee, at Hermitage Landing. They had the Veriflex team came through, and
Oh my God.
SIO,
Yes.
Barry SIO,
Yes.
little thing going on at the local water park for a while.
Oh yeah.
Resident pros for a little bit. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if you were in on it, but I know there were a couple of people. It was a long time ago, and I was very young, and I didn't realize who these guys would turn into.
Wow.
I know. Do you know anything about that? Can you tell me?
I totally know about that. So on the tour, we were down in Florida skating, and we've been to a bunch of parks in Florida, and Barry invited us to stay at his place, and he lived in a really, I almost want to say that it might have been like one of those geodesic dome type of places, because he was like the epitome of a hippie.
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, I'm a vegetarian and have been for 33 years. I had my first dabbling in vegetarianism with Barry at SIO at his place because he was a vegetarian back then. But while we were there, he made arrangements for us to go to that place in Tennessee. That's so funny that you said that because I remember this vividly.
Yes, I was good buddies with Ray Underhill. I grew up with him. It was all part of that. We were all. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it worked out perfectly. We had a hole in our schedule. It worked out perfectly. So we show up over there, and it was awesome. I mean, it was a totally unexpected part of our tour. It's not even on our on our agenda. We have shirts, and that's not even on our.
No, it is. I've got the shirt, and there is a stop.
Is there for Tennessee?
Yes, I believe there may be. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the shirt.
I have a shirt too. I'm gonna double check. I'm pretty sure it's not on there. But yeah, so we showed up. We did a demo there. And I'll tell you a little side story of that is that there was a rope tow at that lake, and it would yank you off of the dock with two skis on. There was artificial turf. It would yank you off the dock with two water skis on, pull you around the lake. You could kick a ski off and then ski on one ski through the lake there or whatever. And then when we ended up going over to Surf and Turf in Wisconsin, and we skated there, and the owner of Surf and Turf lived on a Michigan lake or something like that. Really cool house, a lake house. He had an indoor pool. Really nice setup, and he had a dock, but he didn't have a boat. He called up a buddy of his across the lake. Couldn't even see where the stinking boat came from. The guy comes across the lake with a boat, and he took us out water skiing. I had just learned to water ski, if you will, in Tennessee, and now here I am going out to go ski on Lake Michigan. Because of that whole scene. So yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Awesome. Thank you for remembering that, Freddie.
Yeah, no, thank you for bringing that up, because I actually tell that story to I've told that story a few times to people, and it always brings a look at me, brings a big smile on my face.
One more quick question, Freddie.
Yes, sir.
So on your tour, did you experience any kind of racism when you were down in the South in those days?
None.
That's crazy.
None.
Because I did a tour with Santa Cruz in '90,
Mhm.
right? And I was like the team manager, right? And that's when like Andy Roy's on the team and like Sean Seffi, and like, I'm taking those guys around like Kendall and Jason Jesse, and we were like in Fresno or Bakersfield eating breakfast one morning, and we walk in with Sean Seffi, and it's all white guys, all old guys, and they're like just like giving us fucking grief. And at one point, one of the guys comes over, is like, "Get that fucking N guy over here," you know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
And they kind of like start pulling that shit, and I kind of stood up, kind of got in his face, and kind of started defending Sean. And in those days, like that's when Sean was like heavy, hot guy, and he was a boxer, and he was like ready to go. And trying to calm him down and putting him down, you know what I mean? And so basically, I mean, we handled it. Me and Steve Keenan were there. Between me and Keenan, we kind of got the guy like basically leave and kind of shame him in front of everybody, you know. But I'm just saying, like, I mean, and that's basically the only time I've ever experienced something like that on the road, you know, was someone that, you know.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm sorry. I do have one incident where something came up, and so I used to do demos with Gail Webb.
Oh yeah, when they had the
yeah, on the ramp, and it was actually back in the PowerFlex days, OP days, you know, that sort of thing. We did a demo at an elementary school in Newport Beach, and what would happen is I would go with Gail and Jim early to help set the ramp up. So Jim and I would set that ramp up.
Yeah.
And we set the ramp up. It was a pretty warm morning, and I went to go get changed into my skate stuff, and then I went over to the water fountain to go get a drink. And one of the kids at the school came up to me and said, "Hey, I didn't know they let people like you do stuff like this." And I looked at him, I go, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Black people skateboarding, what the heck is all of that?" And, you know, I was like, here's a little elementary school kid, rich little punk. It's not like I didn't want to have a bad reaction, because I was there representing something, you know, more than that. I went and I shared the story with Gail, but that's the only time that I ever really experienced anything, you know, that bad in the world of skate. It was always pretty doggone good. And the Florida thing, you know, I lived in Florida as a little kid, so the South down there I'm familiar with and know how the people are and stuff like that. And as you mentioned earlier, was I still in Florida? My parents are back there living in Florida, so I've been down in the South, and I was born in North Carolina, so I've been in the South. And I know how racist people are and how stuff is. But when I'm in the world of skate, there was never an issue really, short of that little Newport Beach issue.
Yeah. Now I was just wondering, because I saw you on Facebook that you're visiting your mom and your dad in Florida, so that was awesome.
Yeah, it was a really good trip, and I talked to my dad here lately. My dad's actually not doing so good, so.
Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah. Thanks. So.
Yeah.
I want to go back a little bit, and I want to comment on your comment, Steve, that about BMX racing and then going into skateboarding. Myself, I BMX raced and worked at a bike shop to get my re-welded ANA frame and stuff, you know, and so I was really broke as a kid, you know, but I really liked riding bikes and jumping and stuff. And I experienced racism in BMX as well as a ton of cherry picking, which these guys were lying about their age, and they had chromoly frames and just $1,000 bikes, you know, and versus my pile of crap, you know. And then these guys were skateboarding, and I skateboarded a little bit, and they were all super cool and just open-minded, you know. And coming from San Francisco, it's a vertical melting pot. So, I mean, there was Filipino, Chinese, Black, Asian, Russian, you know, everything under the sun at school. And a lot of those kids were my friends, you know, and so I left bicycle racing because it was just so convoluted with bullshit. And the skateboarders were just so cool, emulating surfing and kind of more free spirited and open minded and stuff. And so that's how I got into really got hooked by the skateboard bug. And so I just kind of want to comment it on your comment, Steve, of how BMX from BMX right into skating, you know, and you know, that's about it.
Yeah, no worries. It's just, you know, it is.
Your
It's
head
that
on.
freedom of movement. You know what I mean? Whether you're on a bike or a skateboard, I mean, you can't get that unless you actually do it. It's not like in the human body. I mean, I'm so into like aesthetics, like in yoga and how the body works and like figure skating and all, you know, body mechanics. And you know, the thing is like we can run, but we're never going to mimic a skateboard or even roller skates. And so just that gliding moment, that gliding movement, there's something special about that. And I don't know how to kind of put your finger on it, so to speak. But at the same time, I mean, like all of us here, we've all experienced it. And there's nothing like that rolling movement of a skateboard.
Hey, Salva, I got a question.
Yeah.
Of all your injuries through the years, has that affected your guitar playing at all?
Well, when I broke my collarbone, I had a show literally.
Oh, the strap, yeah.
I had it 2 weeks after the show, after I broke my collarbone, and I still played it. And all my friends and my bandmates thought I was a fucking nutbag for actually doing it, but I did it. So I wasn't even letting friends down. All dudes who were counting on us to play. You know what I mean? And plus, to be honest with you, like, you know, I get paid a little bit of money to play lately. You know what I mean? So it's kind of nice.
Right on.
You know, there, $100 there, $200, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. You know what I mean? But anyhow, it's just like,
Shit, I'm gonna come gig with you.
yeah, I would love to play with you anytime, and I
Let's
like
do
to play
it.
with you. Just
All right.
like, for me, it's just like skating. It's like you can never. It's always endless. You can always learn something. You can always learn something like on a guitar. When you think you learn it all on skateboard or guitar, then you're fooling yourself because there's always something to learn. You know what I mean? And even though I'm 57, I still learn stuff as much as possible on guitar. And
Absolutely.
skateboarding, even like, you know, just from watching my kids and my friends and trying different things. And even like, hey, Steve, can you ollie or can you do a kick flip? You know what I mean? And you know, I've done kick flips and I've done real like kick flips, but I mean, it takes me about fucking 150 tries. You know what I mean? But you know, when you just kind of have that tenacity and that perseverance, you know, you can always pull through something. And there's nothing I get stoked more is when I did a kick flip one day and I saw my two little kids, like their eyes just like, you know what I mean? So, I mean, it has happened to me once or twice in my life, you know what I mean? But yeah, but anything, you know, it's just, there's always points to learn. You can learn from anybody. You can learn from children. You can learn from like older people. You can learn from adults, and it's never ending. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
and that's why the thing, the quest for knowledge, so to speak, is always there. And then the older I get, the more thankful I get, and the more I take things less for granted. You know, and like, you know, some of our friends dying lately, when even with CrossFit dying. You know, we had a thing for Vans today that were me and Olsen and Lucero, and people talked about him for a while, and it was super sad. Kind of got all teary again and lost it again. But at the same time, I can kind of smile now and just kind of some of the memories we had. And you know, and the thing is, like the skateboard brotherhood right here just goes such a long way. And I mean, I know, like, if I broke down on the highway tomorrow, you know, if I was in Oregon, Wally would help me. If I know if I was at Huntington Beach and I was stuck on the beach, if I needed some help, Fish would come to my rescue. You know what I mean? And if I know, like, I was bumming out, like Lonnie can, hey, cheer me up. And so that's the thing, is like, you know, we can kind of contact each other and hang out with each other. And the one thing I really miss with all this COVID shit right now is like just hanging out with my buddies and shooting the shit and seeing my buddy Lonnie at Van Skate Park and give each other a big hug. How you doing today, dude? This like, hey, what are we working on today? Like, what do we got? You know, and just that kind of shit. And even in Grasso, like, I mean, the last couple of times we skated before this, all this shit happened. I mean, we were skating with Grasso at the ramp and see him in the pool and seeing little Oliver hanging out and doing his thing. And so in that respect, man, it's like, you know, everybody here, man. I mean, I don't know some of you guys as well. I know some of my friends. I don't get to hang out with Grant as much as I like to hang. And one guy I like to hang out with more. Freddie, I don't get to hang out with as much more. But hey, you know, everybody here, I love all you guys, man. And think in this time frame, like we got to really kind of acknowledge all the talent we kind of have here and all the stuff we've kind of done and all the influences we've kind of accomplished, so to speak. And again, I hate kind of talking about that kind of stuff in myself, so to speak. But I mean, it's true. I mean, you know, all of us have some kind of charisma that people like and gravitate to. I don't know what it is. My wife's the same way. My wife's a principal, man. We go to dinner and see the kids, Mrs. Alba, you taught me. And she's been doing it for 30 years. Like I've been skating for 30 years all this time. And it's just so awesome to see these kids just get so stoked to see my wife. And so that's what I'm kind of getting at, man. Like, you know, so we all have something to give right here. You know, every one of us, and that's the thing. You know, people should acknowledge that and acknowledge the kind of like stuff we dig, and you know, don't take things for granted, man. So
Yeah, man.
Yeah, well said.
Hey, Grant.
yeah, let's hear some Grant stories. So, you know, I got a question for you, Grant. So Rob Mertz makes this Black Underground thing, and you shot that picture of me that he put a shirt together with. And so this kid texted me on Instagram today and said, "Hey Steve, did you make that shot? You know, like your feet are kind of off the board." And I write, of course I made it. You know what I mean? Like, dude, you know, but I got to say, Grant, you know, like we were talking earlier, Grant, about the 70s and sometimes, you know, Wally's has these iconic shots. I have these iconic shots. But even though we have these iconic shots, we wouldn't have these pictures without people like yourself taking them. And I want to give you photographers some credit for helping kind of propel this myth of skateboarding that we kind of do and all. And I just kind of wanted to hear what your take is on something about those kind of lines.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay.
Yep.
And real quick before you start, I did this thing for Grasso for like 2 hours today, so I'm gonna bail out here within a couple of minutes here, but I just really want to hear what Grant has to say.
I don't know. We came from a really great era of magazines, I think. And I think I've been talking to a lot of other photographers, even younger photographers lately. And I asked Mike Blayback, I asked him, do you think the people that are skating right now that are like the biggest people are going to be like worshiped 20 years from now by just people? You know, how like I can sell prints now of people that say like Tony Hawk or Cab or somebody like that. Are we still on?
Yeah.
There you go.
To music. But I was asking him, do you think like people will be buying photos from people now, like 20 years from now? And we just started talking about magazines. I think the thing that separates it is we came from this magazine era where stars were made. You know, there weren't that many skaters. There weren't that many pro skaters. What were there, like 30 pro skaters at a contest, you know?
Yeah.
And now there's zillions. And there's nowhere to show them except for a few seconds on Instagram and other social media. Even video parts don't even last that long anymore because an actual video doesn't come out. And I just think we came from a really great era, and you guys helped make me and I helped make you. And I've had talks, you know, like with Mark Gonzalez about this, you know, just like, hey, we helped each other, you know. Yeah. Everybody had their dudes that they shot, and a skater would go, like you shot great photos, Salvo, with Casmus. You know? Yeah. And it's like some of the best photos of you are by Casmus.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's my, you know, to be honest, he's my favorite guy I've ever shot with because
we just came out of the same. We were in this golden era, you know, where we were able to put out this magazine every month or bi-monthly. You know, there were 2-3 magazines at one time, and now there's really nothing. So I've been discussing this a lot with like younger photographers and younger skaters and stuff. You know, my son's a skater, and I used to educate him every time that I went to shoot Cab or Tony or Miller or anybody like that. I go, you know who that is, right? I know, it's Caballero, you know. And I was always trying to educate him and kind of drill it into his head, you know, where it was. And even now, you know, he's 25, almost 26. He's a street skater, but he really looks up to all the old Burt guys, and it's pretty amazing. Yeah, I think it's that whole era thing where there were 4 photographers, you know?
Yeah, basically,
Me and Mofo and and Ortiz and Bryce and, you know, Swank and people like that. And
Yeah.
Well,
we're
every
just
image
lucky
makes
to be
more
in the
because
right. I was born at the right time, I guess. And I was
Yeah.
older than all you guys too, because I ran the park. And if I hadn't worked at the skate park, I skated, but I wouldn't have got into skating, you know, if I hadn't worked at Del Mar.
So that's another question that I have for you, man. Now, I remember meeting you back at Del Mar in the old days, and you were the manager there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, so
Uh,
for just there,
Wally got me the job there.
yeah. What made you pick up a camera in the first place?
Well, what got me the job there was Wally was my next door neighbor, and he came over to my house on my birthday, and he gave me a new board, and he goes, "Hey, Strolp and I and Curtis are working on this new skate park in Del Mar, and I can probably get you a job there. You want to work there?" And I started on the second day. I went in the first day, but they thought I was stoned, and they sent me home.
That's when we all had hair, right?
I was told by Wayne Searle a couple years later. He goes, "Yeah, I sent you home that first day. You seemed pretty stoned." And I go, "No, I had just come back from a surf trip in Mexico, and I was like totally burnt. My eyes were totally bloodshot, you know." And
that's fucking awesome.
yeah,
Got a mulligan.
There, and then about started working there in August, and in February I borrowed my roommate's camera just to shoot some photos, and I shot Kyle Jensen. Was the first guy I ever shot. And then I just kind of shot a couple of times with his camera, and then I went with a friend who knew cameras, and we went and I bought an old Minolta, used Minolta, and then I just started shooting all the time. So I just got hooked, you know. It was, I don't know, I was looking at the magazines and going, I think I could do this, you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, just a lot of practice and wasting a lot of film, and I was just able to do it. And then I changed my major and took photography at Palomar College, and I just got better and better and worked at the park. And then Larry was starting the world, and I was just in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, I mean,
that's funny that you said wasted a lot of film. Remember Stedham's ramp in Leucadia?
Oh,
I remember that, man.
Howard Hood.
The one up the 5 right there.
Got us.
I have photos of you there, Lonnie.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Was that the one off the 5 freeway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freeway.
Dude, I went there once. Like Stedham told us we could skate, right? But I got like Tex with me and John Gibson, and like Ken Fillion, and like Chris Robinson. And we get
Nice.
to and it changed lots, right? And like, you know, Gibson's like, "Motherfucker, Staggy, what the fuck's with the lock, man?" Right? So like they didn't have the balls to cut the fucking lock off, right? And so like, come on, see, fucking just do it. So of course I fucking knocked the lock off, right? And then fucking we started skating, and like 2 hours in, Staggy comes home. So you motherfuckers, who said you could skate, man? And Craig's all like, "Well, dude, you said we could skate. Like, what the fuck?" So, well, who fucking goddamn cut the lock off? And then Gibson like, "I did it." And I'm like, "Dude, that's so sick. Like, I did it." But they knew Staggy would give me shit.
Yeah.
They knew if they said it, he wouldn't say fucking dick. And then Craig Johnson kind of got up and was last night. "Well, you said we could skate." You know what I mean? And so he kind of let it go. And I mean, that was kind of like, yeah, that's my Staggy story for the day. You know what I mean? Because I thought that was kind of funny. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's kind of great, man.
Good old Stedham.
Yeah.
You know, I brought him from Vegas to California, right?
So you were the guy that brought him?
I drove out there in my car to his house, helped him load up his car, loaded up my car, drove down on the strip to go say goodbye to his dad because his dad was working.
Yeah.
So we drove by, I don't remember what the place was, but drove by the place where his dad was and said goodbye to his dad, and then we proceeded to come back to, I had gotten an apartment in Anaheim, and yeah, we were roommates for a while, and I got to tell you, that was not a very good time in life. If I told you the stories, it would.
I can imagine.
Just one. Come on. Just one.
Just one. Come on. Do it
Just remember, this is recorded, Freddie.
It's good, man. 4 years ago, man.
Oh man, I'm gonna get some hate for this, but
You're a good one. Come on.
So Stedham, when he came out here, he for some reason was not getting himself a job to help pay for rent. So I was working 2 jobs. I worked at a place making ice cubes. I used to deliver ice throughout, Orange County and LA.
Yeah.
And then so I would work that job from like 8 in the morning until 5 or whatever in the afternoon. And then at 11 at night, I would go work at a gas station until 7 in the morning. So I'd come home, take a couple hours nap, and that was feeding and housing both Stedham and I.
Yeah, you were double duty.
That was double duty, right? So Stedham's mom came out to visit, and she stayed with us in the apartment. And so Stedham's thing was he was taking his money that his parents were getting and stuff. He would go over to the little liquor store that was just a couple little doors down from us and playing the pinball machine and stuff like that. And at the time we were living off of peanut butter and jelly and macaroni and cheese and just stupid stuff. Yeah. And so Stedham's mom comes. I'm going to get so much hate for this. But this is the truth, man. So his mom shows up, and all of a sudden he's got a little bit of money, and the pantry all of a sudden has some food in it, and it's got his name on it.
Oh, man.
So I have a buddy a really good friend of mine who could attest to this. But yeah, it was crazy because all of a sudden he had food in the pantry and it was his food.
Mine is mine. What's yours is mine.
Yeah, so I'll leave it at that. I have a lot more that I could say, but I'm just gonna leave it.
No rent. Don't touch my food.
Yeah,
Now, if that would have been me, you know what I would have did?
What's that?
I would have sabotaged him, man.
Sabotage.
That's when you go piss his mouthwash, or you go fucking put a dildo in his fucking cereal. That's the kind of shit I would have did.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, Wally has stories.
It was crazy, man. It was crazy.
Wally, you have some stories about Jeff King, what you guys did to him, the economy.
Oh man.
Where he would eat people's food and you'd mix up cat food and leave it as like tuna sandwiches.
Yeah, well, Jeff King was he was a great friend and he was a bad friend at the same time, and all I remember is I used to go on a bunch of skate trips, and he would just take all my skate stuff and sell them to go buy pot or what have you, or when we come, we would stock the fridge and he would always eat it. And so, yeah, we would definitely sabotage his food. We would tell him, we would make something that says, hey, this is our do not eat it, Jeff. And then, late at night, you'd smell it and you'd eat. So we went out and ate. Stropo did the same thing. Stropo would eat all our food too. So Ed and I, we go out and get pizza, and there's a couple of pieces left, and says, well, what are we gonna do, Ed? Let's just throw it out. No. Stropo will eat it. So Ed, and that's back then when you could smoke in the restaurants. He goes to the next table and gets an ashtray, lifts up the cheese and throws cigarette ashes and butts in there, and we take it back. And this one's not for Jeff. This one's for Stropo. And then like at 2:00 in the morning, Ed comes into my room. Wally, wake up! Smell that? Can you smell that? And we smell pizza, and all of a sudden Stropo's walking down the hallway just kind of green, and it took him a couple of months to own up to it. And Stropo would just get the pizza and eat it like in 3 bites, and especially if it wasn't his. And finally he said, yeah, I started chewing the pizza, and this piece just wouldn't chew, and he pulled out a cigarette butt. So, yeah, anytime any of us would eat our food without asking, we would definitely sabotage it. Jeff definitely ate some cat food.
And liked it.
Yeah, he didn't know.
Wow.
All right, well, hey guys, I'm gonna cut out for now. Pleasure
Thanks,
seeing you
Steve.
guys.
Thanks, Steve.
Hey, good seeing
Thanks,
you.
Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
I'd really love to do this again. And again, thanks for the opportunity, Ken.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve.
Thank you
It's
for
great.
I love seeing all you guys, but man, my one guy I like to see more than anybody is fucking I love you, Wally. Fuck yeah, man.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
All right,
Love
I'll
you,
see
Wally. Thanks for sponsoring me then running away. I always appreciate it.
Let's do it again soon. Thank you.
All right, Steve. Good seeing you, man.
All right, I'm out. Late.
All
Ready?
right.
I love
All
you.
right.
Lonnie, I
All
love
right, guys.
you. Fish, I love you.
Yeah.
Jeff Greenwood, love you. Tony Hallam, love you too.
Thanks, man. Love you back.
Hello.
Jim,
Mrs.
Jim, I don't love you.
Yeah, you do. Kurt, nice seeing you. Fuck off, Freddie.
Remember when you two guys boxed? You, Jim and Freddie, you guys boxed at Angelo's.
Oh, we did. It was the Irish.
Oh, the pseudo boxing. The Bruce Lee style boxing.
No, what was that? The Irish guy was fighting. Remember, we made fun of that.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
McGregor.
Notre Dame guys.
McGregor, yeah. I was McGregor, and he served me up.
That's right.
Hey, Grant. Sorry, sorry I didn't get that link to you sooner.
Oh, it was in my spam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good place for it.
Yeah.
Hey, Hallam's in the house.
Yeah, I was going to say something. Hey, thanks for the. It's been amazing, guys. No, Steve's just gone. Freddie, that skate park you went to in Gatson was called Flying Wheels.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Does it sound right?
Honestly, I can't remember the name of it to be. Yeah.
Okay.
That's you're absolutely correct. Flying Wheel Skate Park, Gaston, Alabama.
Sticker. Yeah.
Oh, so
I
it was
skated it a
Gatson.
couple of
Okay.
times.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember the transitions in the little half pipe. It had like multiple transitions. Actually, it reminded me of the concrete wave deep end.
I'm gonna sign off too, guys. So love you.
All right, Jim. See ya.
Hey, Jim.
Jim.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah, the transition in the pipe. I remember that they tried to repair them so you could see patches in the half pipe.
Yeah.
But you know, we had some fun. We made the best out of that place. It was pretty cool.
There's some good pictures of John Grigley and some of the Atlanta guys skating that park after it closed down. Big, long, huge half pipe all the way down to a big, huge bowl.
Yes.
You can find them on Facebook around. Grigley's got them.
Okay.
Who was this shot of Monty Nolan? They're doing a Smith grind, or a Monty grind, right? On that as well.
You're absolutely
really?
right.
Same set of photos, yeah.
I don't remember there being coping on that, right? It was just a edge or a lip, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I remember trying to do some doing inverts and layback errors in that thing, and you know, not having anything to pop off of. But yeah, it was fun. It was interesting.
You didn't like your back foot coming off when you were going up for an invert? Hey, that's how you're supposed to do them all the time.
That's intentional, man. Come on.
Hey, you know my back foot comes off on everything.
That's
Hey,
what.
Lonnie. Oh, sorry.
What's
Sorry.
up?
Go ahead. You guys are chatting.
Go ahead, Tony. Go, Tony.
Thank you. I saw your gyros and X tracks at South Bay skate shop down there.
Oh yeah, my board. He took it hostage.
Because you were trying to find the deck that you wrote that with, right?
Yeah.
That's what
I wrote. That's the board that I did that foot plant skate tips.
Yeah.
That's the board hanging up on his.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff down there, man.
Yeah, he's gonna get robbed soon. No.
And just one board's gonna go missing, right?
Yeah, only my board's gonna be missing.
Hey, Tony, what are you doing? It looks like you're painting.
I've just spent the last few days. Who's talking? I can't really hear who's talking.
This is Freddie speaking.
Hey, Freddie, how you going, man?
Hey, I'm good, Tony.
Yeah, so I'm not being rude. I'm just getting this job done before the rain comes tonight. I've just been oiling the deck at the back.
Okay.
This is the last coat this is the last coat, so I've got it done. I've had you guys all on speaker the whole time. I wanted to chime in many times on some conversations, especially this Steve about Tay Hunt at Pipeline, and and of course Wally was there, so stories about Stropel and everything. But I was actually really enjoying listening to what was being said, so that was really cool to be part of this. Really, just to hear the stories from everybody.
It's funny to see you in the daylight.
Right.
We're in nighttime here, and you're in the daytime there.
It's really nice. It's like what would it be, like 22 degrees Celsius? So what would that be in Fahrenheit?
We don't know.
It's a
Seriously, you asked that question?
We're Americans. We don't know shit.
Hey, man, we're supposed to be swallowing Clorox right now.
Yeah, exactly the same thing.
Exactly.
Man,
I'm cheating.
People will do it as well. You watch.
It's like 60.
That's the scary part about it. People will follow his instructions and they'll still do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of mad. Hey, Freddie, on your
Yes,
trip, you went to Apple.
You guys are getting some rain, Tony.
This evening we're getting rain. Yeah, it's not clear right now when it's coming. But it'll be.
Where are you,
soon.
Tony?
71 degrees.
71. Okay, it's nice.
71.
Day, yeah.
I cheated.
It's all right. Thank you. Thank you.
That's how I do. That's how I do Fahrenheit the same way. Don't worry.
Where is that in Australia?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm down south in Melbourne, so we're we're coming out of summer right now.
I thought so.
Yeah,
Sick.
no, it's good, and we're going through the same things you guys are. Really, we're just isolating, and it's a good opportunity to get things done around the house, and making the time as useful as possible, really, rather than whining about it and saying how shit it is. Like, just get on with it, really.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. Closer to your families, whatever it is, it's really nice.
Yeah.
Freddie, I got a question for you, man, about your trip across the states with the whole Veriflex guys. When you went to Apple, and you went to Cherry Hill as well, right? You went to
Yes, we did. Yes.
Yeah. So out of those two parks, which runs were your favorite?
Man. Well, okay, so for me, we did those two parks, and we also did the park in Alabama called Getaway.
Oh, Getaway. Yeah.
The Getaway.
Yeah.
Best park. Yes.
So honestly, the pools in each of those parks, in those three parks, they were all equally great. Getaway, that pool was amazing. 13-ish feet. Probably about as perfect as a pool as you would want. The coping was good.
That was a keyhole, right?
It was a keyhole, yeah. Honestly, it's a toss-up. All three of them were equally great. Cherry Hill was amazing. Apple was amazing. Getaway was amazing. They were all really, really good.
So do you know who made Getaway? Which builder it was?
I think it was all the same, right? Was it Holiday?
Yeah, I actually have
Holiday.
talked to Wally about that. He had something to do with it. I think Dwayne Bigelow had something to do with that. That Getaway park was absolutely amazing.
Yes, it was.
It was absolutely, yeah. I didn't know that you went there, Freddie.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
That pool was absolutely insane. I went down there quite a few times with Ray Underhill and a bunch of yeah, that was one of the best parks before the whole skate park demise.
Right. Exactly. I think that Getaway would probably have gotten more press, more coverage if it had been in a different place. I think it's, problem being there. It was Huntsville, Alabama, right?
Yeah, it was Huntsville, Alabama. Yeah. And apparently after all that, the skate park demise and everything, they turned that into catfish ponds for a little bit. They tried to make something out of it. I don't think that quite worked out. And I don't think that, I hear they're trying to bring back the turf. They're bringing it back, unburying it. I think that Huntsville was totally destroyed. I don't think I don't think it was filled in. I think it was totally gone. So
I think when we went there, if I remember right, I don't believe that there was very many people there. I don't remember there being near the group of people hanging out like in the other parks that we went to.
You're correct. It was in Alabama. There wasn't a whole lot going on there. So on a day-to-day basis, they didn't draw a lot of crowd. But it was one of the best parks in the country.
Oh, it was amazing.
They had a lot of money backing them up. But it was a bad place to put it.
Hey,
Unfortunately.
tell me, it had a water slide there too, right?
Yes, I believe they may have had. Yeah, I think they had some water slide. In the South at that time, you built a skate park, you built a water slide.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all kind of an integrated thing. That's what we had in Nashville. So yeah, and it all kind of fell apart.
Yeah, it's too bad because Huntsville, that park, that pool was amazing. It was good. So Tony, the answer to the question is that they were all equally good, and the Egg Bowl. I mean, we all, you know, Wally, right? The Egg Bowl was amazing, but Apple was really, really, really good. I think the unsung hero though was Alabama, was Huntsville. That park was really good too. Yeah.
It was huge. It was a huge park. They had 3 different pools, 4 different degree bowls, 2 snake runs. It was on the same concept as the Huntsville, the Houston skate park is now.
Right. Because Wally, didn't you and Chris go there as well?
Yeah, I went for the grand opening with Tony Khan.
Yeah, and Dave Andrecht.
Yeah, and they also had that 3/4 pipe with that capsule in the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, they used my picture for their logo.
Was that you? Oh, okay.
Ad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that 3/4 pocket is Pat Watcher was doing that grind in that 3/4 pocket in Thrasher, one of the very first big format Thrashers.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
but I think you're right as well.
That
So
thing was
Jacob,
gnarly. It was probably a 25-foot circumference. It was huge. It was really, really big.
So I think you're right about the build. Jacob, what's your name?
I'm Jay Kabler from Knoxville, Tennessee. I've been around the South and the East Coast for a long time.
Yeah. I'm just going to say, because when you referred earlier to Bigelow and Wally Holiday doing the build, there was an article in Skateboarder magazine years ago, like back when Skateboarder magazine was around, and they featured Apple, Cherry Hill, and Getaway. So 100%, yeah.
Correct. That's absolutely right. Wally actually came up and built the skate park in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I hung out with him a little while and questioned him about that, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Did you get to dig it out like the other kids and Cherry Hill and Apple as well? Apparently they got to be part of the build by being hands-on and getting shovels and digging the bowls out with Wally.
You know, I didn't actually get in there and dig it out. I let them do it, but I walked around, and we didn't have enough money to build a pool, but we raised the funds at the last minute to get a kiddie pool built. So we were really stoked because all the kids just wanted, you know, ledges and rails, and we wanted vert. So there you have it.
So Wally, at the parks that you went to, what would be like your feature parts? Like, you know, like the pools, the
Marla one night design. You know, I don't know. For me, I really didn't have a favorite park. I liked all of them. You know, every park, like I was saying earlier, has one unique feature that will always take you back. I mean, there's a couple of parks that I call the 20-minute park, where you go for 20 minutes and never go back. But they're kind of far in between. Even those 20-minute parks, you're gonna find one little transition that you're gonna skate. And so you know, for me, I was always a pretty all-around skater, so I kind of liked everything, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Just like backyard pools, I kind of like all those really kinky backyard pools because they make you a better skater. And I mean the parks now they're just so good and so perfect that at least now when I'm older now, I get kind of bored skating them because they're just so easy to skate. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
that all makes sense. Hey, talking about before how there was it Salva that brought up the royalty thing and the like payment for photos and all that kind of stuff. Have you seen the stuff that Chris Stropel saved, all that paperwork? How he documented every single payment that he had.
Yes.
Yeah, how cool is that?
Yeah, he's been finding more and more stuff.
Yeah.
But
that stuff's pretty neat that he even kept it.
I keep my stuff in my pocket.
Awesome.
That's about all I got.
Wally, it'd be fun to get a talk with you and Chris.
Yeah.
I think we should try and get Chris and I and Gibson together.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get that together and do something.
The Castor boys, yeah. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Especially now that they both got in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right on.
Hey, well, I'm gonna get out of here and finish doing some cooking.
Okay. I was gonna say thanks to
Hey, what do we have then?
Everybody.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Wally.
Wally, good to see you.
Some of them good brownies.
Yeah.
Hey, Wally, one of my all-time faves. I just want you to know, one of my all-time faves, always.
Oh, 100%.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Ground zero, dude. Ground zero.
Thanks, Wally.
Absolutely.
Ground zero.
It's pretty awesome that we can still skate after 50 years.
Oh,
Doing it.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Yeah, Wally.
Good seeing you, Wally.
Thank you. Well, that's crazy, man. It's just so good.
So tell us another good story, Grant.
Oh shit.
Brad just
Grant's on a second.
You've seen a lot. You've been through a lot. You've been through the trenches with all the skaters everywhere. I'm sure you got a bunch of good stories.
Well, it was always fun, when there were contests at Del Mar, and we had the highball games there.
Oh yeah.
People would sleep in the highball games.
Oh yeah.
And then Wayne, the manager of the whole place, would come over and kick everybody out. And then these jocks would always show up to play highball the next day. And these guys pay for highball and they go out there, these big buff dudes. They come back and they're like, hey, there's shit flying around in the highball. And some skater had taken a dump in the highball.
Oh, that's
He started
horrible.
jumping and there's like a turd
Nice.
floating and bouncing around with them. It was pretty funny.
We had highball at Big O too.
Yeah. Well, Wayne, who was the manager of Surf and Turf, my boss, he was a part owner of highball with Gordon.
Yeah.
Oh, Gordon,
I
yeah.
think the Osmonds owned part of it too.
Okay.
The Osmond brothers.
Gordon was his son was the keyboard player in my band.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
Sean Gordon. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody, I'd kick them. I'd let people stay in there, and people would sleep in the bowls, and then my boss would come in and yell at me for letting people sleep there, and it was just he didn't understand. He didn't understand. He'd go, why are those guys skating for free? And well, they're pro skaters. People come to watch them skate, and then somebody gets stoked on skating and then they buy a skateboard, and he just didn't get all that. So I'd always have to explain all that to him. Once it was the morning of a contest, and all of a sudden he comes running in and he's like, God damn it, there's like this guy surfing on top of this car coming down the driveway over the speed bumps on I think a Chevy Impala or something. And it's Dwayne Peters standing on the hood of this car surfing into to the skate ranch. So yeah, and we're like, just calm down, but just stuff like that. I'd always get into hassles with the up north dudes, you know.
One time
north.
we went down there and Tommy Guerrero and myself and little Luis Cruz were sleeping in the highball actually. And I actually left because Tommy just was so scared that someone was going to reach in and grab him and kidnap him, or I'm not sure what they were going to do, you know, but he just kept moving around and talking. And I finally just went to the car and slept in the behind the steering wheel because everyone else had taken the better seats in the car, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm guilty of sleeping in the highball myself. But I don't think Tommy shit in it. I don't think that happened.
I don't think it was him. I think it was a local.
Bunch of uncivilized people sleeping in the highball, man.
Yeah.
But me and Mike Hirsch and Steve Hirsch, their parents had a little all-joy trailer. And when there was a contest down there, we'd take the trailer. They would take the trailer down there and park in the KOA.
Yeah.
And we stayed in the KOA.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that's
used
weird.
to, you know, I lived on the pool table for 8 months there.
Oh,
And
wow.
I took showers over at the trailer park, and there was a laundromat over there, and I did at Denny's and other places, right? Anything that was
right there,
walking
yeah.
distance.
Yeah.
And anytime we'd go to Denny's late at night, all the locals would go after the park closed down. And I'd park my car up against the door, up the sidewalk and up against the door. And then we had this mannequin, a t-shirt dummy, and we carved a foam head out of it. And he had a little mustache and everything, and put a cowboy hat on him. And there was a little TV, and he was behind the counter, and it looked like a real dude watching TV. And then we did that every night. And then I'd come back and I'd fix up the pool table, and I had a mattress that I threw on the pool table every night and slept on it for 8 months.
Nice. Wow.
Now, Grant,
Yeah.
you and I talked about that when we did that podcast about
Mhm.
when you lived there. And I bet some people think, you know, oh, that's sad that Grant lived there, but you were really young. I mean,
I was in my 20s.
Right. So was it fun to do that, or did you feel kind of trapped?
Oh, yeah. You know, when you're that age and you're poor, you're having a great time. You know, that's like still the best times of my life is when I, was living in houses with, 4 other people or, you'd get a 3-bedroom house and one guy would sleep in the garage. You'd have 4 people in there. I did that 2 or 3 times. And those are the best times of my life. I look back at all those. And, at Del Mar, I met all my friends. All my friends that are my friends now are people I met at Del Mar,
Lifelong friends.
People like that. I worked with them, Swank, So yeah, it was the best of times and the worst of times. Right. But you don't know it, because you've never experienced anything else. Yeah. Now I'd hate to do it because I know what it's like to be killing it. So
now you actually have a bed to sleep in.
Yeah.
And a pillow.
And a woman to sleep with.
Ooh.
Yeah. Not a mannequin.
No, it's not a mannequin. It's not a woman can. My wife's laughing in the next room. I might be sleeping in the extra room tonight.
Well, what she's thinking right now is you're going to be sleeping on the pool table tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish we had a pool table. No.
That's such a rad.
I wasn't very good in pool either.
Look at Hallam, man. That dude's busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rad. He was working on that thing the whole time, like 3 hours.
He's still working. Look at him.
Yep.
We see you, man. You're on mute. Unmute yourself.
From the conversation.
Sorry, guys. Yeah. I'm just packing everything away and still listening, so it's really good. Yeah. Sorry.
We're lazy seppos.
Yeah, it's all good, man. You guys are on nighttime. So Grant, I'm going to show you something right here. You recognize this skateboard. I don't know if you can see it. This is one from Cover Shot.
Oh, look at that.
It's not your photo, but it's I think it's Katsuma's photo.
Look at that sticker.
Here's a clue as to who it belongs to. So this is the rock and roll slide skateboard. It was in the focus section of Skateboarder magazine.
Wow.
And the you remember the content shot of Strokel doing the big backside air?
It's got a rack sticker on it.
It's Skateboard Viewers, that magazine.
Look at how flat that thing is compared to today, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And
Crazy.
It's got fiberglass is beautiful, man. Such a nice skateboard.
Those were great boards.
Yeah, the flex and everything.
Yeah, they were great boards. Some of the best there were.
100%. It's pretty crazy. I've got a few boards here, but it's not about showing off skateboards. It's about chatting. But because we're talking about Del Mar, that's a really good one for Del Mar. That particular board.
That's rad.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I still
get another
don't know the boards, man. I don't even know how we rode those.
It's crazy, huh?
Heavy.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. I had one of I had a tri-beam as well. So I think it might have been your model as well, Lonnie.
That's what you were saying before. I think you had the 10-inch one. You said mine was 9.5.
I traded it to Lance Mountain. He has it.
Bobby.
It's a Bobby Valdez. It's his one. Sorry, it's not yours.
Valdez.
Yours is a
It's
narrow
not-
one. Yours.
They all look the same.
Yeah, they do.
We had that discussion, right, Lonnie?
Unfortunately, Bob's is bigger.
Yeah.
Figure. That's what Kim said.
Yeah, so Lance has that one now. The one I had, the tri-beam.
Yeah, that's
rad. And they were heavy too because they had like a really thick ply, didn't they?
Yeah, Madrid made them.
Oh, okay.
That explains everything.
Yeah. Say no more. Excuse me. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
COVID.
I gotta go as well. Thanks, guys. It's been fun. Hope you guys had a good discussion. Take care.
All right, Don. Good seeing you.
Thank you, man.
Take it easy.
I think so. Just poke it. We're doing some cooking here as well. My daughter. Hang on. Just gonna get something here. It's my wife's birthday today, so I've got to go in a minute as well.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, let's just call it, you guys. We'll meet back here next time we do a skate conversation.
Yeah, this is fantastic, man. I appreciate it.
Sounds like a plan.
So good, man.
Thank you for joining in.
All right, Ken. Thanks for the invite.
Yep.
All right, everybody. We're gonna check out too. See you later.
Hi,
All right,
Kimmy.
guys.
Bye, Kimmy.
Happy
Okay.
birthday.
Have a good one.
Ken.
All right. Talk to you guys
Brady.
later.
Harbor City.
Thanks so much.
Sunday.
Take it easy. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
See you guys.